should have died a long time ago. However, Orochimaru actually let her live. I have to say, Li Yi began to admire Orochimaru a little. Chapter 21 Li Yi put her to death. First more. Logically speaking, this woman must die. If you sell your soul to a demon, how can you not die if your soul is gone? However, Orochimaru kept her alive and turned her into a creature similar to a vampire. There is no soul, only an empty shell. Li Yi finally understood the problem with this woman. Do you have a cure? Tian Bao stared at Li Yi and asked. Li Yi didn't answer, but narrowed his eyes and asked in his heart, System, is the 9th turn revival pill used for revival? The crisp voice of the system immediately sounded in my mind. Go back to the host. That's right. Li Yi opened his eyes. Without any hesitation, he picked up the black pill in his hand and stuffed it into the woman's mouth. However, the woman spit out the pill under the yelling. Tian Bao asked, What do you want to do? Li Yi said, Take this pill to her, even if it can't cure her, it can at least delay her condition. Tian Bao's eyes lit up when he heard it. Without any hesitation, he picked up the black pill and threw it into the woman's mouth. Then, he pulled the woman up, made a fist with his right hand, and smashed it lightly on the woman's back. His strength was so well controlled that the pill rolled into the stomach as soon as the woman's throat opened. However, the woman is still struggling and it seems that the pills are not working. While stopping the woman's struggle, Tian Bao asked, Didn't you say it can delay the disease, why doesn't it work? Li Yi immediately flipped through a Byakugan, and said angrily, When a pill enters the stomach, it must be digested first, and after it is digested, it must be absorbed. After it is absorbed, it can enter the internal organs, and then it can play a role. How can this process be so fast? At the same time, Li Yi asked in his heart, System, how long does it take for the 9th turn resurrection pill to work? System replied, It will take about half a minute to return to the host. Half a minute, 30 seconds. Li Yi was taken aback. So fast. He thought he would have to wait at least a day and a half. It is indeed a medicinal pill evolved by the system. It's magic. At this time, Tian Bao asked, How long will it take to work? However, before the word, use, was uttered, the saint in his arms suddenly stopped struggling. Her head tilted, her hands drooping, her whole body seemed to be asleep, motionless. No, not as if asleep, but as dead. Because she's not breathing. Tian Bao's pupils shrank suddenly. He tested the saint's breath. Immediately, his entire body stiffened. I don't know how long. Tian Bao gently put the saint on the bed, then slowly got up and turned his back to everyone. Although they turned their backs to the crowd, the three of them could feel the murderous aura on Tian Bao. Cao immediately ran in front of Li Yi, stretched out her arms, and said in a low voice, Tian Bao, don't get excited. It's human nature to live, get old, get sick, and die. You don't want Lady Saintess to live like before, do you? It's better to die than live. Said weakly. Shut up for me. The cow roared at vigor. Then, she looked at Tian Bao again and said, Tian Bao, this is actually a relief for the Holy Maiden. However, before the cow had finished speaking, Tian Bao suddenly said, Shut up. His voice was so hoarse, as if he was crying. The cow saw sharply that Tian Bao's hands were clenched at this moment. Damn it. Cow's face was extremely heavy, and she whispered to Li Yi, Little brother in Konoha village, when I stop Tian Bao, you should run away while the chaos is, don't look back. Her voice was extremely serious, as if she was talking about life and death. In fact, Li Yi was also stunned. In the past, although the Holy Maiden was neither a ghost nor a ghost, at least she still breathed. But now, the saint is not even breathing. Died. What is going on? Could it be that the rank 9 resurrection pill has no effect? Or is there no cure? However, if it is true as the cow said, the saint sold her soul to the devil in order to cast that seal, so her problem is that she has no soul. Therefore, she only needs to bring her soul back, then she can recover. Logically speaking, the 9th turn revival pill can take effect in half a minute, which means that the soul of the saint can be returned to the body in half a minute. But now, let alone half a minute has passed. Not only did the saint not wake up, but she died. Where is the problem? Li Yi immediately narrowed his eyes and asked in his heart, "System, the 9-turn revival pill has no effect on this woman." System replied, back to the host, "I don't know." "Don't know." Li Yi rolled his eyes. He thought that the system knew heaven and earth, and there was nothing in this world that the system did not know. Li Yi just wanted to ask, "Why don't you know?" But before he asked, Tianbao suddenly turned around and walked towards Li Yi quickly. Li Yi can feel his murderous aura, which makes people shudder. Cao immediately roared, "Little brother, run." Li Yi's heart skipped a beat. Li Yi at a lightning-fast speed almost crushed Li Yi's arm. A fierce light flashed in Li Yi's eyes. "This goddamn power. If I don't kill him, I swear I won't be human." At this time, boom, Tianbao punched the cow, and a circle of dust visible to the naked eye spread out from their fists. The cow's tender body trembled, groaned, and involuntarily retreated to the rear. However, Tianbao stood still. In one blow, the high and low judgments are made. Looking at the cow with its trembling arms, Tianbao said coldly, "Cow, this is just a lesson, if you dare to stop me again." Speaking of which, Tianbao took out a handful of kunai, and under the dim candlelight, the kunai reflected the cold light. The delicate body of the cow trembled slightly. She was afraid. Tianbao has been a ninja, and he is a quasi-jonin, and his strength is extremely tyrannical. She is no match for it. If Tianbao really had the intention to kill, then there was nothing she could do. Tianbao took Kunwu, walked in front of Li Yi, and said, "You said you were a medical jonin, but you killed the holy maiden, owed money, killed people, and this is just unrighteous, so you today keep your life here." Hearing this, Li Yi immediately wanted to take out the golden hoop. "Do you really think that Lao Su is made of mud?" However, Li Yi was just about to take out the Si Ding Shen needle, but Tianbao continued, "However, for the sake of your sincere treatment of the holy maiden, I will give you a chance today to duel with me. If you can kill me, then you can leave and no one can stop you. But if you can't kill me, then I will kill you." Dali's face changed. "Brother Tianbao, you shut up." Tianbao coldly ordered, "Let him go." Dali didn't dare to disobey, so he obediently let go of Li Yi. But in his eyes, there was a flash of extremely unpleasant jealousy. Just because he lowered his head, no one in the audience saw his eyes. Li Yi stood up straight again and looked at Tianbao. Tianbao also stared at Li Yi. The two face off. Today's third shift, this is the first shift. The next shift is around 1800 in the evening. Ask for a silver ticket, ask for a silver ticket, ask for a silver ticket tilde. Chapter 22 Be a cow and a horse for Li Yi. Second more. Li Yi looked at Tianbao. Tianbao also stared at Li Yi. The atmosphere gradually solidified. The sword is drawn. Li Yi's idea is very simple, that is to use Dinghai Shenzhen to sneak attack. There is no doubt about the weight and speed of the Dinghai Shenzhen. As long as it can hit Tianbao, he will definitely die. After all, Tianbao is not a pervert like the third-generation Hokage, and it will be fine if it is hit by the Dinghai Shenzhen. In fact, Li Yi didn't know that the 3 generations of Hokage did their best at that time, and this was able to withstand the Dinghai Shenzhen. Moreover, although he resisted it, his entire arm was broken. The 3 generations of Hokage who are in their prime now, in the entire ninja world, their strength is to keep the 3 competing for one. But even so, he was almost knocked to death by the Dinghai Shenzhen. You can see the power of Dinghai Shenzhen. Now, Li Yi wants to seize Tianbao's flaw, and then use the Dinghai Shenzhen to knock it to death with a stick. Tianbao is also figuring out how to kill Li Yi. Li Yi said that he is a medical jonin, and since he is a jonin, he must have special means of life-saving. Taking this into consideration, Tianbao didn't act rashly. He confronted Li Yi, and he also wanted to find Li Yi's flaws, and then make a move to give Li Yi a fatal blow. As a ninja, you must kill with one hit. The two confront each other, staring at each other, and the atmosphere is getting more and more tense. But at this moment, suddenly, a soft and weak voice suddenly sounded in the ear. "Where is this place? Why am I here?" As soon as these words came out, the cow's face changed first. Immediately after that was Tianbao, his eyes widened suddenly, his face extremely shocked. At the same time, in Li Yi's mind, the clear voice of the system suddenly sounded, "Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the mission, save the saint. Get a chance to evolve." Li Yi was stunned. At this time, the cow raised the curtain of the bed directly and walked to the front of the bed in one step. "Holy lady, you didn't die." The cow was dumbfounded, stammered, and asked, "Why do you sound like you're expecting me to die?" The holy maiden sat up from the bed and turned over a beautiful Byakugan. "But, yes, why didn't I die? My lady, do you still remember who I am?" The cow pointed to her mature and beautiful face and asked, "How could I not remember you? You are the cow lady." Holy maiden flipped a Byakugan again, her voice was soft and very nice. As soon as these words came out, the cow immediately cried with joy. "It's great, Lady Saint, you finally remember me. I thought you would never remember me again. It's great, woo woo." She held the holy maiden's hand and kept crying. "Sister cow, don't cry." The saint hurriedly wiped the cow's tears with her sleeve and asked at the same time, "But, cow sister, why do you call me saint?" Cow widened her beautiful eyes with an incredible look on her face, and asked, "Sir, after you saved all of us, you were named a saint by the village chief. Don't you remember?" Hearing this, the holy maiden blinked her pale yuhi-colored eyes and asked, "I died after sealing the beast, how could I remember it?" The cow's beautiful eyes stared slightly, but she couldn't react for a while. If it is said that the holy maiden died in the rape 3 years ago, who is the person who has taken care of the cow in the past few years? The holy maiden has been able to speak and act in the past 3 years. She is clearly a living person. The saint also seemed to realize that something was wrong. There was a dignified expression on her pale but very beautiful face, and she asked, "Sister cow, what happened, tell me." The cow didn't hide it, so she told the saintess all the details of the matter. And while the cows speak, beyond the bed curtain, boom, 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 Tianbao knelt down directly towards Li Yi and kowtowed 3 times. The kowtow sound is not small. When he raised his head again, his forehead had broken through the skin, and blood was oozing out. Li Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. "Brother Yila, I'm sorry for you." Tianbao knelt on the ground with his forehead on the ground, and said, "From now on, my life is yours. Even if you let me go up a mountain of swords and a sea of fire, I won't blink." His voice was very sincere, not at all contrived. "Huh?" Li Yi raised his eyes. "What's happening here? Attitudes change so fast. 180-degree flip. Didn't you want to duel with me before and kill me? Brother Tianbao, what are you doing? How can you kneel like a Konoha scum?" Dolly hurried forward, while talking, trying to help Tianbao up. But Tianbao knelt on the ground motionless. No matter how hard he pulled, he couldn't pull it up. Li Yi did not speak. Tianbao was still kneeling on the ground, his forehead was also knocked on the ground, and he kept this posture motionless. Li Yi secretly frowned. In fact, to be honest, Li Yi doesn't hate Tianbao. Tianbao dares to love and dare to hate, right and wrong are clear, he is a man. However, this does not mean that he has forgiven Tianbao. He is not the virgin, but not so generous. However, Tianbao's attitude of apology was quite sincere. Then, just when Li Yi was thinking, Dolly suddenly shouted at Li Yi, "Boy, are you deaf or blind? Don't be ignorant. My brother Tianbao apologizes to you, this is the blessing of your life. Fan, why don't you quickly accept brother Tianbao's apology? Hearing this, Li Yi frowned again. This power is so disgusting. Or kill him now. A ruthless look appeared on Li Yi's face. Then kill it. However, just when Li Yi was about to take out the Dinghai God needle, the curtain of the bed was suddenly lifted, and a soft and glutinous voice sounded in his ears. Benevolent, my brother has eyes and does not know Mount Tai. I have offended you, I hope you can spare his life. At the same time as the voice sounded, behind the curtain of the bed, a figure of Yuhi's hair came out. It was the Holy Maiden. She walked to Tianbao's side, knelt down towards Li Yi, and knocked her forehead on the ground, and said, as long as you can spare his life, the little girl will be a cow and a horse for you in the future, and repay your kindness. Quote, Sister, you have just recovered, why did you come out? Hurry up and lie down. Tianbao turned his head to look at the saint next to him, and said with a concerned and anxious face. Afterwards, he gave Li Yi a loud kowtow with a bang, and said, Thank you sir for saving my sister. The great kindness and virtue can't be repaid. Tianbao will cut off his arms and will be a cow and a horse for you from now on. Repay your kindness. After speaking, Tianbao picked up kunai and swiped towards his shoulder. His movements, without the slightest sloppiness, are obviously true. Third shift today. This is the second shift. Ask for silver tickets ×3. Important things are said 3 times. Chapter 23 Uzumaki Violets Part 3. Li Yi did not stop Tianbao. After all, he is not the virgin. However, he didn't stop it, and it didn't mean that others didn't stop it. Dolly hurried forward, grabbed Tianbao's arm, and said, It's absolutely impossible, brother Tianbao. Afterwards, he shouted at Li Yi again, Hey, the boy in Konoha village, you have to be spared and spared. I advise you not to go too far, stay in the line of work and see you in the future. Strongly. Tianbao knocked his forehead on the ground and said in a low voice, Be polite to Lord Yila. Although Tianbao's voice was not loud, the taste of fate in his tone was self-evident. Vigor was suddenly speechless. Tianbao said again, Dolly, let me go, I can only get Lord Yila's forgiveness by cutting off these arms. Dolly had to let go of Tianbao. But the unhappy color in his eyes was even more intense. Tianbao picked up kunai again and swiped towards his shoulder. Brother Yila, in the end, Tianbao didn't do anything excessive to you, so you forgive him, right? The soft sound of the cow rang out. When the voice sounded, the cow's right hand grabbed Tianbao's arm, not letting Kuu fall. Brother Yila, if you don't forgive Tianbao, then I have to kneel down to you too. Seeing that Li Yi was indifferent, the cow was about to kneel. Li Yi immediately asked, Tianbao, you said you want to be a cow and a horse for me, do you have any guarantee? He could swear. Said the cow. Swearing won't work. Li Yi shook his head slightly. Then little brother Yila, what do you say? Asked the cow. From nowhere, Li Yi took out 2 pills and handed them to Tianbao and the Holy Maiden. What is this? Asked the cow. It's a poison. Li Yi said, my medicine can both save people and kill people. This medicine cannot be solved. Just take it. Good. Tianbao didn't even think about it, he just picked up a pill. The cow picked up another pill and asked, Brother Yila, what are you giving us the poison for? Not for you, but for her. Li Yi shook his head and pointed to the Holy Maiden. Tianbao's face changed. Li Yi explained, although this medicine is a poison, after taking it, it usually won't flare up. When will it happen then? Asked the cow. When they disobeyed me. Li Yi said lightly, since you want to be a cow and a horse for me, you have to be loyal to me for the rest of your life. Once they disobey me, then I only need a thought, and they will die on the spot, and the devil will not be able to save them. Hearing this, Tianbao directly put the pill in his hand into his mouth. Brother. Seeing this scene, the saint opened her mouth, and her expression seemed a little distressed. But in the end, she didn't say much, but looked at the cow and said, "Sister Cow, give me the pill." Cow also wanted to plead with Li Yi, "Brother Yila." However, before she could finish her sentence, Li Yi shook her head gently. "This is the lowest limit that I can accept." As soon as these words came out, Dolly immediately quit, stood up abruptly, pointed at Li Yi's nose, and shouted loudly, "Don't give a fuck about being shameless." After he finished speaking, he clenched his hands as if he was going to beat Li Yi. The cow hurriedly pulled Dolly back, exhaled the aroma towards Dolly, and said softly, "Don't make trouble for us here. Sister Cow, give it to me." The holy maiden stretched out her pale right hand towards the cow. Seeing that Saintess and Li Yi's attitudes were very firm, the cows had no choice but to sigh the aroma and hand the pills to Saintess. "Sister." Tian Bao seemed a little distressed. The holy maiden shook her head slightly towards Tian Bao, indicating that she was fine, and then put the pill in her hand into her small mouth. Then, the saint frowned slightly. "Because she seems to be eating dirt herself. Li Yi have an earthy taste." But Saintess didn't think too much, because she believed in Li Yi's strength. After all, she had sold her soul to the devil before, but Li Yi was able to take back her soul from the devil with a single pill, which shows Li Yi's strength. "From now on, the two of you, my ox and horse, need to be completely at my command, understand?" Li Yi asked, high above. "Understood. Understood." Tianbao and Saintess are both stingers. "Brother Yila, can we go out now? I can't wait to tell the people in the village the news of the Lady Saint's recovery." Shakes, excitedly. "Wait a minute." Li Yi shook his head slightly. "What else do you want to do?" The cow blinked her beautiful eyes. Li Yi looked at the saint and asked, "What's your name? How old are you this year?" The holy maiden's voice was soft and she replied, "My name is Violet and I am 16 years old." "My lady, you are 19 years old this year." The cow immediately corrected. The saint was startled. Then he came back to his senses and smiled bitterly. "Yes, I died 3 years ago, and now I am indeed 19 years old." "What's your last name?" Li Yi asked suddenly. However, Li Yi's words made the saintess seem to have heard some taboos, and her face suddenly changed, her expression also became twisted, and it seemed a little hard to say. "If you don't tell me, I know that you are a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, right?" Li Yi asked with a smile. The saint nodded. About the words, Uzumaki family, because she was afraid of being targeted by enemies. However, she was more afraid of dying from poison now, so she didn't hide Li Yi. "That is to say, your name is Uzumaki Violet, right?" Li Yi asked. The saint nodded. "What about you, your name is Uzumaki Tempo?" Li Yi looked at Tian Bao again. Tian Bao also nodded. "Are you two brothers and sisters?" Li Yi asked. "That's right." Both nodded. "No wonder." Li Yi smiled. No wonder Tian Bao was so angry when he, dead, Uzumaki Violet. Can people not be angry when they kill their own sisters? However, why isn't your hair Yuhi color? Li Yi asked curiously again. Uzumaki men generally follow their fathers, and women generally follow their mothers. Tianbao explained, but it's not absolute, it can only be said that it is generally the case. Hearing this, Li Yi suddenly thought of Naruto Uzumaki. Uzumaki Naruto's mother is Uzumaki Kushina, with pure Uzumaki bloodline, but Uzumaki Naruto follows Namikaze Minato, with yellow hair instead of Yuhi color. What are the strengths of both of you? Li Yi asked again. Li Yi knew that the symbols of the Uzumaki clan were rich chakra, powerful sealing techniques, and a strong like vitality. Every Uzumaki clan will inherit at least one of the above three. For example, Uzumaki Nagato, he has rich chakra, if not, Uchiha Madara will not give him Rinnegan. Therefore, Li Yi wanted to know, which of the three Uzumaki clan members in front of them is the best at. The third update. Today's update is over. The next update will be around 12 o'clock noon tomorrow. Ask for a silver ticket. Chapter 24 It turned out to be Two Tails and Brigade, the first more. In a dark room. Uzumaki Violet replied first. I'm good at sealing, my father taught me some sealing techniques. What beast did you seal before? What sealing technique did you use? Lee Yi asked. In the original work of Hokage, in order to seal Kyuubi, 9 Tails, 4 generations of Hokage Namikaze Minato did not hesitate to use the ghoul seal to split Kyuubi, 9 Tails, into 2, into Yin Kyuubi, 9 Tails, and Yang Kyuubi, 9 Tails, sealed in the body of himself and his son respectively. He paid with his life to seal Kyuubi, 9 Tails. And now, Uzumaki Violet also paid the price with her life to seal the beast. So Lee Yi was very curious, what the hell is that beast that needs Uzumaki Violet to sacrifice his life? Is it also a tailed beast? Uzumaki Violet was still kneeling on the ground at this time. She replied, I don't know what kind of beast it is. I only know that it is a cat demon with blue chakra flames all over its body. A cat demon with blue chakra flames. Hearing this sentence, in Lee Yi's mind, a word immediately appeared. Two Tails travel again. In the original book of Hokage, the second tail is a cat demon with blue chakra flames all over its body. Lee Yi immediately asked, how many tails does that cat demon have? Uzumaki Violet recalled for a moment, then replied, 2. Then it must be right. Lee Yi touched his chin and said, it must be 2 tails and a brigade. That beast is now sealed in your body. Lee Yi asked again. Uzumaki Zaluo shook his head. No, I just sealed a piece of its energy in my body, and didn't seal it whole in my body. A burst of energy. Lee Yi was a little puzzled. Logically speaking, the sealing technique that Uzumaki Violet used was to make a deal with the devil. This powerful sealing technique was enough to seal the 2 tails. However, Uzumaki Violet only sealed a force of the 2-tailed tour, but did not seal the entire tailed beast. Why? Lee Yi suddenly remembered that Erwei Yulu seems to have a person called Jinchuriki, column Li now, and her name seems to be something, Ni Teak Door. In the original work of Hokage, Ni Teak Gate is the 2-tailed Jinchuriki column force of the Land of Thunder and the village of Kumogakure. She can fully release the tailed beast and easily control the 2 tails, and can fully master the power of the 2-tailed tour. Widely recognized and admired by the villagers, is a proud and gentle woman. Only later, Ni Teak Door was targeted by Akatsuki, fought against Kakuzu and Hidan, and finally died under the curse of Hidan. But that's all in the future, it hasn't happened yet. That is to say, the Ni Teak Door now, is still alive, and is a perfect person Jinchuriki column force. If Ni Teak Door really can completely control the power of Erwei Yulu, then it should not go berserk, but 3 years ago, it hurt the villagers in this village and caused countless casualties. Lee Yi squinted his eyes and thought, could it be that it is false to say that the power of the 2 tails is completely controlled? The Ni Teak Door has not completely controlled the 2 tails and the brigade, so it needs to come out to release it regularly. But it doesn't make sense. Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force Killer Bee once said that Ni's relationship with Erwei Yulu is better than his relationship with Yahweh. With such a good relationship, it is impossible to control Erwei. Another trip. Or, because Uzumaki Violet sealed the wildness of Erwei Yulu, so Erwei Yulu became so good that he was completely controlled by Ni Teak Door. In other words, the reason why Ni Teak Door can become a perfect person, Jinchuriki column force, the real reason is because of this Uzumaki Violet in front of him. Lee Yi narrowed his eyes in thought. To be honest, he prefers the second possibility. Any tailed beast in the human Jinchuriki column force needs to go through a long running-in period. After the running-in period, the wildness of the tailed beast will be smoothed out, thus trusting the human Jinchuriki column force, and the human being. The Jinchuriki column force also trusts the tailed beast, and thus becomes a perfect person. During this running-in period, the tailed beasts will often run wild, resulting in countless casualties and charred souls. If the running-in period can be successfully crossed in the end, it will be to see the sun and the moon through the clouds and fog, but most people can't do it with Jinchuriki column force. Go through this break-in period smoothly. Nitique door is now a perfect Jinchuriki column force, she must have had a break-in period. And it is probably the Uzumaki Violet that made the Nitique door go through this break-in period successfully. In Li Yi's mind, he had already conceived the picture at that time. Nitique Gate is a ninja in the Land of Thunder. Before the tailed beast ran out of control, she ran out of the Land of Thunder and came here in order not to hurt her compatriots in the same country. She thought it was a forest and no one lived there, so she ran out of control, with peace of mind. But she did not expect that there is still a village with hundreds of households living here. Therefore, the village suffered numerous casualties. Uzumaki clan in the village, Uzumaki Violet. She used the sealing technique to seal the Erway Yulu, but the Erway Yulu already had the power of a human Jinchuriki column, so Uzumaki Violet could not seal it, but it just seals its wildness. The wildness was flattened, and Erway Yulu became docile from then on, and became a good partner with Nitique door. But Uzumaki Violet is dead, and his soul is forever imprisoned in the hands of the devil, and he will never be born again. Li Yi remembered that in the original work, neither in the comic book nor in the formula book, the Erwaitique door was not included in the perfect man Jinchuriki column force, and the reason was unknown at the time. Now it seems that although Nitique door is a perfect person Jinchuriki column force, but she is not included in the list of perfect person Jinchuriki column force, the reason must be because she can go through the running-in period, not by herself, but Uzumaki Violets. Like Yao and Killer Bee and Yao, Uzumaki Naruto and Kyubi, Nine Tails, they are all running in periods that they crossed by themselves. Suddenly, Li Yi's eyes lit up, as if he had come up with a plan. Nitique door is one of the most important combat powers in the Kingdom of Thunder. She values love and righteousness, and her character is arrogant and gentle. I can use this thing. She is a human being. In Li Yi's memory, Nitique door is a very beautiful female ninja. Before Li Yi passed through, there were a lot of her books on the market. However, Li Yi is not coveting her beauty, he thinks it is enough to have Tsunade alone, and other women don't want to be extravagant for the time being. Tsunadeheim, is she not fragrant? Li Yi just wanted Nitique door a favor, that's all. But then again, Li Yi looked at the well-behaved and sensible Uzumaki Violet again, thinking, this little girl has sealed the wild power of the tailed beast in her body, which will subtly affect her character. It seems that she will become a wild and unruly woman sooner or later. Note, the name of the person Jinchuriki column force, because the translation method is different. Some translations are called Niyugido, some are called Niyugiman, some are called Nitique doors. This book uses Nitique doors. If in doubt, you can check it out. Ask for a silver ticket ×3 . Chapter 25 _ The beauty of the disaster level, second more. Of course, being wild is not a bad thing. Not bohemian after all. It's just that the Uzumaki Violet in front of her looks like a well-behaved, sensible, and gentle lady. It would be too wasteful to abandon this character and become a wild and unruly woman. Without thinking too much, Li Yi continued to ask, what's the name of the sealing technique you used at that time? Master Wei, the sealing technique I used at that time was called the Devil's Seal. Uzumaki Violet replied, her voice was soft and glutinous, very nice. Ghost Seal. Li Yi narrowed his eyes and looked for his memory. Evil Ghost Seal did not exist. In other words, in the original Hokage, there is no demon seal. However, you can tell just by listening to the name. The seal of the evil spirit and the seal of the ghoul should be at the same level. Have you heard of the ghoul seal? Driven by curiosity, Li Yi asked Uzumaki Violet Road. Uzumaki Violet head tapped. I heard that the ghoul seal is an authentic technique. Authentic. Li Yi frowned. The Uzumaki clan is divided into the authentic and the partial. The authentic has the pure blood of the Uzumaki family, while the partial has no pure blood, so we are not qualified to learn the ghoul seal. Uzumaki Violet replied, and the evil ghost seal I cast is the predecessor of our partial sect, adapted from the ghoul seal, it has a more mysterious sealing power than the ghoul seal, but it is also because of this, once the evil spirit is used after the ghost seal, our souls will be locked in the hands of the devil forever and will never be reborn. Quote. Is the seal of the evil ghost stronger than the seal of the ghoul? Li Yi touched his chin and nodded. In the original work of Hokage, the ghoul seal is one of the most powerful ninjutsu, and the ghoul seal is stronger than the ghoul seal, which shows the great price of the ghoul seal. At this moment, Li Yi just wanted to say one thing: Jojuan Resurrection Dan is awesome. The infinite evolution system is awesome. Dare to steal people from the devil. And they even grabbed people in an open and above-board way. Awesome. Afterwards, Li Yi looked at Uzumaki Tianbao again and asked, "What are you best at?" "I'm not good at sealing, I just have more chakra." Tianbao replied. "Sure enough." Li Yi nodded. Then he asked, "You were a ninja in the land of rain before, right?" "That's right." Tianbao nodded slightly. "What level are you?" Li Yi asked. "Special Jonin." Tianbao replied. It turned out to be a special Jonin. Li Yi nodded lightly. In particular, Jonin is also known as quasi-Jonin. Their overall strength may not be as good as a genuine Jonin, but they are outstanding in one aspect. In this aspect, they have met the requirements of Jonin or even exceeded Jonin, so they are called special Jonin. If it is said that a genuine Jonin is an all-round development, then, a special Jonin has unique talents in some aspects, and their strength lies between the forbearance and the Jonin, so they are also called quasi-Jonin. Medical Jonin are actually special Jonins, they specialize in the medical profession. There are other special Jonins, who may work in education, R&D, espionage, etc., and have a skill anyway. Uzumaki Tianbao can become a special Jonin should be because he has rich chakra. His chakra has surpassed that of ordinary Jonin, and even reached the level of elite Jonin. After all, the Uzumaki clan are not vain. Brother Yila, do you have any questions? If there is no problem, let's go out and tell everyone in the village the good news. Wobbled, excitedly. No problem. Li Yi shook his head lightly and said, "You two get up." Uzumaki Violet and Uzumaki Tianbao had been kneeling on the ground all the time, and they only stood up from the ground after hearing Li Yi's words. A closer look, Uzumaki Violet and Uzumaki Tianbao look very different, and they don't look like siblings at all. Uzumaki Tianbao looks very ordinary, with dark skin, thin body, and well-developed limbs, giving people a rough feeling. And Uzumaki Violet is very delicate, with fair skin, exquisite body, melon seed face, almond eyes, Changyu nose, cherry mouth, and the long smooth Yuhi color hair. It looks very beautiful. Moreover, Uzumaki Violet is only 19 years old this year, and she has not fully grown yet, but she is already so beautiful. If she waits for a few years to fully grow, then she must be a disaster-level beauty. In the original Hokage, the women of the Uzumaki clan are very beautiful. For example, Uzumaki Mito, the wife of the first Hokage Senju Hashirama, is an extremely beautiful and domineering woman. When she was alive, Kyubi Nine Tails was suppressed to death by him, and she dared not even fart. Later, Uzumaki Mito passed Kyubi Nine Tails to Uzumaki Kushina of the Uzumaki family. Uzumaki Shinjina is also an extremely beautiful beauty. Before Li Yi passed through, there were too many stories about her in the market. The book. As for Uzumaki Shangren, she is actually a very beautiful woman, just because she doesn't like to dress up and wears a pair of glasses all day, so it gives people a sloppy feeling. In fact, she is also a beauty. All in all, the women of the Uzumaki clan are basically very beautiful. Uzumaki Violet in front of him. Although this little girl has been in this world for 19 years, she is only 16 years old. After all, she has basically not grown in the past 3 years. She looks so beautiful at the age of 16. Sure enough, the Uzumaki family is rich in beauties. Li Yi sighed in his heart. He can't help but look forward to it now. After a few years, after this little girl has fully grown, What level of trouble will she become? After that, the 5 of them stopped writing ink and left the room. Li Yi walked at the forefront. Because Violet had just recovered and her limbs were weak, the cows supported her. Tianbao followed behind Violet, protecting her safety. As for Dolly, they were subconsciously ignored by the 4 of them and walked at the back. It was precisely because he was walking at the back that none of the 4 of them saw his sinister face. At the same time, outside the secret door, many people's faces are not very comfortable. Because they all heard the woman's scream. The Holy Maiden is awake. Did the medical ninja in Konoha village have been bitten by the Holy Maiden? Yeah, I haven't come out for so long, and I'm probably dead inside. As I said, doesn't the Holy Maiden like to drink blood? Put that kid from Konoha village in it, and let the Holy Maiden suck enough at one time. Anyway, everyone in Konoha village should be damned. There was a lot of discussion. Almost everyone agrees that Li Yi has been bitten. If not, it's been so long, why hasn't he come out yet? What a pathetic poor bastard. There are still 3 shifts today. This is the 2nd shift. The next shift is around 000. The world is looking for silver tickets. Chapter 26 _ The Physician Part 3. The white-haired old man said nothing. He also did not expect that the Holy Maiden would wake up at this time. Logically speaking, after 5 days, the saint would wake up to eat. It's really just at the right time. If you are bitten by the Holy Maiden, even Jonan will be in a coma for 10 days and 8 days. The white-haired old man made a secret decision in his heart. If that kid from Konoha village has already been bitten by Lady Saint, then abandon him and let Lady Saint drink enough at one time. In fact, he had already determined at this time that Li Yi had been bitten. After all, the mad lady, whether it is speed or strength, is not covered. Yet at this moment, crunch! The secret door was opened. A man in black with a handsome face and a straight waist came out. It is Li Yi. Everyone was stunned. How did this guy come out? Didn't he get bitten? Or did he just escape? However, under everyone's attention, Li Yi took a step to the left, revealing the person behind him. Next moment, almost everyone's breathing stopped suddenly. After that, they all took a step back towards the rear, as if they were all a little scared. Because the person following behind Li Yi is none other than the Holy Maiden. Cow, how did you let the saintly lady out? A middle-aged man immediately stared at the cow and asked. Release the Holy Maiden. Isn't this a disaster for the village? Once bitten by her, she will be in a coma for at least 10 days and 8 days. The cow smiled lightly, with a soft voice, and replied, Everyone, under the treatment of Dr. Yila, the Holy Maiden has recovered. Her voice entered the ears of everyone present. A look of shock appeared on everyone's faces, including the village chief. Holy Maiden, healed. Real or fake? Why am I so unbelievable? Even the mighty Orochimaru, Sama could not cure the Holy Maiden, but after taking the medicine for 3 years, the Holy Maiden might recover. Note, not necessarily, but possible. However, this kid from Konoha village, from entering the room of the Holy Maiden to now leaving the room, it only takes 20 or 30 minutes before and after, right? In such a short period of time, he actually healed the Holy Maiden. If he really healed the Holy Maiden, then he is not a doctor, but a genius doctor. A mortal's descent to earth. Everyone couldn't believe it, and they all cast their eyes on the saintess. Under the gazes of everyone, the saint smiled lightly and said, Everyone, I'm awake. Afterwards, she turned to look at the village chief and said, Grandpa Village Chief, you have been bothered for the past 3 years. Her voice is very gentle, soft and glutinous, which makes people feel relaxed and happy. And she said this. Suddenly, the village chief burst into tears. Although he is the mayor of the village, he has no children. Since the day he took in Violet and Tianbao, he has always regarded Violet and Tianbao as his own children. Back then, in order to protect everyone, Violet died by casting the seal of evil spirits, but he cried for 3 days and 3 nights. You know, in front of the villagers, he is usually a serious, unsmiling old man who is businesslike and has no feelings. However, from the day Uzumaki Violet died, the villagers realized that their village chief was not without feelings, but because as the chief of a village, he had to be strong all the time, even if he pretended, he had to pretend. Be strong. But this time, he couldn't bear it. An old man who never laughed or cried for 3 days and 3 nights that time. You can imagine his grief. Now, hearing Violet's soft and waxy voice, the old man burst into tears again. Tianbao, go and wipe the tears of the village chief. Violet looked at Tianbao behind her. I'm not going. Tianbao shook his head. Why? Violet asked. Tianbao didn't answer, but his cheek was slightly yui. Violet has a smart mind and can see Tianbao's concerns at a glance. He is shy. Not to mention in front of so many people, even if he was alone, he would not wipe the village chief's tears. He's grown up and can't let go. Violet sighed lightly, and had no choice but to take the handkerchief and wipe the tears of the village chief herself. If it wasn't for the village chief, then their sister and brother would have starved to death on the streets long ago. The grace of dripping water will be reciprocated by Izumi. Violet and Tianbao have long regarded the village chief as their own grandfather. After a long time, the village chief's mood stabilized. Everyone, bow down to the miracle doctor of Konoha village. The village chief shouted, and first knelt down toward Li Yi. Whether the others were willing or not, the village chief had already knelt down, so they all knelt down one after another. Violet, Tianbao, and Derry also knelt down toward Li Yi. So, in the presence, except for Li Yi, everyone else knelt down. Li Yi frowned slightly. I didn't save you, so why are you kneeling to me? Is it because I indirectly saved you? If it weren't for Violet, then everyone in this village would die. If it weren't for Li Yi, then, Violet would never be resurrected. Therefore, Li Yi is equivalent to indirectly saving everyone in this village. In fact, in the presence, one person did not kneel. That is force. Because he was standing behind the secret door, no one saw him. Vigorously glanced at Li Yi's back, those eyes were full of unpleasant colors. Want me to kneel? Go do your daydream. I don't want to kneel to a scumbag. Konoha village are scum, trash, garbage, and this person is even more so. Everyone got up. They came forward one after another and started chatting with Violet. My lady, you don't have the memory of these 3 years. That's right. My lady, do you still remember me? I'm Shaolin. Of course I do. My lady, although 3 years have passed, your appearance doesn't seem to have changed. Yes. My lady, your lady, your lady. Lady Saintess, one at a time, making Violet very uncomfortable. Violet had no choice but to say, everyone, don't call me a saint, call me Violet. How can this work? Everyone immediately objected. You saved all of us, you are our saintess, we are not the kind of ungrateful people who cross rivers and demolish bridges, how dare we call you by your name? This. Violet was speechless for a while, and after holding it for a while, she replied, I'm also a part of this village, let's help each other. This can't be done, rules are rules, you saved us all, and our lives are yours. The people objected again, with a firm attitude. But Uzumaki Violet had a heart, and when he rolled his eyes, he thought of a good idea, and immediately said, Then, I order you in the name of the saint, and you are not allowed to call me a saint in the future, just call me Violet, I understand. Huh. Hearing this, everyone was speechless for a moment, staring at each other with wide eyes. Today's update ends. There will still be 3 updates tomorrow, and the next update will be around 12 o'clock noon tomorrow. The world is looking for silver tickets. Chapter 27 Orochimaru is here. First more. If it wasn't for Uzumaki Violet sacrificing herself, these villagers would already be dead. Uzumaki Violet saved the whole village. Therefore, the villagers named her a saint. They dared not listen to the words of the saint. So, yes, Lady Saint. Everyone just nodded in agreement. Uzumaki Violet smiled helplessly. Call her a saint. But she also knew that this must be the last time everyone called him a saint. Everyone, one more thing. Uzumaki Violet spoke again, holding up two white jade hands and pressing it. The hall, which was originally noisy, became quiet in an instant. Uzumaki Violet's voice was soft and glutinous, very pleasant, and said, "Everyone, from now on, Tianbao and I are servants of Lord Yila, and we will always be loyal to Lord Yila." As soon as this word comes out. Ha! 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 Almost everyone opened their mouths suddenly. Including the white-haired village chief. What? Servant. The dignified lady is actually a servant. And a servant of a Konoha kid. What a formality. Uzumaki Violet didn't seem to care about everyone's shocked reaction. She continued, "Because we are already servants of Lord Yila, so from now on, Tianbao and I will not live here." As soon as this word comes out. Ha! 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 Everyone present suddenly opened their mouths. Including Li Yi. Li Yi opened his mouth slightly and looked at Uzumaki Violet in disbelief. "I didn't say I was taking you with me before, did I?" "Little girl, it's easy for people to misunderstand when you say that. Besides, those two pills are not obedient medicine at all, but mud." That's right, the elixir that Li Yi gave to Uzumaki Violet and Uzumaki Tianbao before was just dirt. Li Yi did this has only one purpose, that is to shock and deter. There is a saying that there are two things in the world that cannot be looked at directly, one is the sun, and the other is the human heart. Unpredictable people. Li Yi saved Uzumaki Violet, it didn't mean that he was safe. Who can say for sure, will the people in this village retaliate? The moment he was almost beaten to death by Uchiha Fugaku, Li Yi never believed in human nature. He only believes in himself. Therefore, no matter what he does now, he will leave behind. So he controlled Tempo and Violet. Tianbao is the strongest fighting force in this village, and Violet is the saintess in this village. Only with them can Li Yi be absolutely safe. Li Yi will not believe in the illusory things such as human heart and human nature. Now Li Yi only believes in the real things that are in his hands. And now, the ones caught by Li Yi are Uzumaki Violet and Tianbao. However, Li Yi did this just to leave the village safely. He never said that he would leave with the two of them. Li Yi stared at Uzumaki Violet with a slightly startled gaze. Uzumaki Violet turned her head and smiled softly at Li Yi, "Beautiful." Li Yi frowned slightly. He found that the little girl Uzumaki Violet seems to like to make assumptions. "When you're alone, let's make it clear to her. I don't need them to follow," Li Yi said secretly in his heart. At this time, the villagers all gathered around, trying to persuade Uzumaki Violet and Uzumaki Tianbao. "Violet, this matter is absolutely impossible. Yes, you are our saint, how can you get out of here? Even if this little guy from Konoha village really saved your life, you don't have to repay him like this, right?" Almost everyone is against it. Uzumaki Tianbao is the strongest fighting force in the village, and has been protecting the safety of the village for so many years. Without Uzumaki Tianbao, many of the people present would have already died. Uzumaki Violet is the holy girl of the village and a role model for all villagers to learn from. Every place needs role models, and this village is no different. And more importantly, almost all the villagers have regarded Uzumaki Violet as the strongest trump card in the village. 3 years ago, that two-tailed beast severely injured Uzumaki Tianbao with just one blow, almost killing him. It shows how terrible it is. However, such a powerful beast was sealed by Uzumaki Violet. Therefore, these villagers have regarded the Uzumaki Violet as the life-saving card of the village. With the two of them around, the village can be in long-term peace. All in all, the Uzumaki siblings make them feel safe. Now, their sense of security is threatened when they hear that the two brothers and sisters have left, so they will try their best to oppose it. Almost everyone is persuading Uzumaki Violet and Uzumaki Tianbao. However, there was one person present, not only did not persuade them, but also wanted them to leave the village. That is the power behind the secret door. Hurry up and get out. If you leave, I will be the strongest fighting force in this village, and I will become the next village mayor. If you don't leave, I will always be weaker than you, and I will always listen to your bosses. Quote. Vigorous eyes gleamed fiercely, but in the depths of his eyes, there was a look of anticipation. Get the hell out of here. You two are not from the village, why are you riding on Lao Su's head? Suddenly, a lewd smile appeared on Dolly's face. Of course, Tianbao can just leave alone. Let Violet stay, I want her to be my woman. All you need is a bowl of ecstasy soup and a grain of ecstasy. Dan, then from now on, Violet is Lao Su's woman. Vigorously looking at Violet's slender back, the lascivious smile on her face became stronger and stronger, as if she had already seen the scene where Violet was treated both hard and soft by him, and finally willingly became his woman. However, Tianbao should not abandon Violet and leave alone, so what method can I use to break up this pair of siblings? I squinted my eyes vigorously, thinking in my heart. The village chief, here we come. At this moment, a loud voice suddenly came from outside the main hall. The village chief, here he is. A 15 or 16-year-old boy ran in from outside the hall, with his hands on his knees, and shouted out of breath. Everyone was trying to persuade the Uzumaki siblings, but when they heard the shouts, they all shut up and turned to look at the little boy. The white-haired village chief frowned slightly and asked, "What's going on?" The little boy panted hard and replied, "The village chief, big, Lord Orochimaru is here." As soon as this word comes out, the expressions of everyone present changed, including Li Yi. What? Orochimaru is coming. The first update. Today is still the third update. New Year's Eve in the solar calendar year. I wish you and me a happy new year. Well, go ahead, ask for silver tickets ×3 . Chapter 28_Embarrassing Orochimaru Part 2. Some are happy and some are sad. Lord Orochimaru is here. The white-haired village chief frowned slightly, seeming a little surprised, and said, "Master Orochimaru only comes once every 15 days, why is he here today?" Village chief, don't you think Orochimaru's arrival is a bit too coincidental? Asked the cow. Her face was a little dignified. Yes, it's quite a coincidence. The white-haired village chief also nodded. It stands to reason that Uzumaki Violets should not wake up looking for food after 5 days. And that was when Orochimaru-sama arrived. However, Violet woke up today. And Orochimaru is here now. How is it so coincidental? The coincidence makes people doubt that this is really just a pure coincidence. The village chief, it seems that all of this is in the calculations of that Orochimaru. The cow lowered her voice and whispered in the village chief's ear. The village chief did not answer, but said indifferently, "If you talk too much, you will lose." The cow was silent. She knew that the village chief was for his own good. Orochimaru's strength is unfathomable. If Orochimaru listens to her words, then she will probably die. However, just as the cow closed her mouth, she seemed to have seen something surprising. She opened her mouth and asked in astonishment, "Brother Yila, where did you find this mask?" That's right, at this time, Li Yi's face was wearing a ghost mask. Li Yi pointed to a 6 or 7-year-old girl beside him. At this moment, the little girl had tears in her eyes. She was wronged, and she bit her mouth lightly, as if she would cry in the next moment. Obviously, the mask on Li Yi's face is this little girl's toy. The cow hurried to coax the little girl. At the same time, he asked, "Brother Yila, why are you wearing a mask? Do you know Orochimaru?" Cows are not stupid. Li Yi immediately put on a mask after hearing the name, Orochimaru, so she guessed that Yila and Orochimaru knew each other and had some relationship. Lee Yi just wanted to answer, but at this moment, a hoarse voice suddenly came from outside the hall. "Everyone, I haven't seen you for 10 days, how is your saint?" The sound was not loud, and it was rather hoarse, but it was extremely penetrating, and everyone present heard it clearly. Immediately, the noisy hall suddenly became quiet. Everyone is looking at the entrance of the hall. Under the gazes of everyone, a thin figure walked in from outside the hall along the sunlight. His pace is not fast, but it is extremely steady, giving people a sense of motionlessness. He has long black hair, long blonde pupils, purple eyeshadow extending to the wings of his nose, pale skin, and blue tomo earrings. Although his face is expressionless, he has an extremely sinister feeling. The eyes under Lee Yi's mask narrowed slightly. That's right, this person is Orochimaru. Of the legendary Konoha Sannin. Ha ha ha, has your lady saint woke up and is in a frenzy now? Orochimaru chuckled and asked, his laughter quite penetrating. He saw so many people, and now he is surrounded here, so he concluded that the little girl of the Uzumaki clan has woken up. This group of people was at a loss, so they gathered around here. However, the crowd did not answer. And looking at Orochimaru's eyes, it's a bit strange. Orochimaru's eyes twitched slightly. How is this going? Why did these people look at me like that? I'm here, shouldn't you immediately gather around and ask me for help? What are you doing there? Why don't you come and ask me for help? However, after waiting for more than 10 seconds, everyone still did not reply, nor did they go forward for help. Orochimaru was a little embarrassed. He coughed lightly, took out a black pill from his bosom, and said with a smile, he, are you helpless? It happened that I brought the antidote and fed it to your saintess can be restored. Quote. Orochimaru thought the villagers would cry and beg him. However, the villagers were all indifferent. No one spoke. And looking at Orochimaru's eyes, it's even more strange than before. Orochimaru's brows furrowed. What happened to these people? Could it be that their saintess is dead? Should not be. I turned their saint into a soulless creature like a vampire, how could she die? Under Orochimaru's extreme doubts, the white-haired village chief finally spoke up and said, Lord Orochimaru, that's it, Our Lady Saint has. However, before the white-haired village chief had finished speaking, Uzumaki Violet walked out of the crowd, walked in front of Orochimaru, saluted him, and said, Lord Orochimaru, thank you for your rescue 3 years ago. The little girl is unforgettable, she can only wait until the next life to be a cow and a horse to repay your kindness. Quote. Her voice was soft and waxy, very nice. However, this beautiful voice made Orochimaru's face turn blue. You. He pointed at Uzumaki Violet, stammered when he spoke, his face full of shock, how did you survive? It was Yila's miracle doctor who saved me. Uzumaki Violet turned slightly sideways, revealing Lee Yi behind him. Orochimaru immediately put his eyes on Lee Yi, and stared at him. Lee Yi was stabbed by Orochimaru's gaze, and it felt as if Orochimaru had seen him through. After an unknown amount of time, Orochimaru's sharp eyes finally softened, and he said with a smile, ha ha ha, dare to snatch the soul from the devil, and can complete the complex process of soul returning to the body, your excellency is indeed a genius doctor. Over the top. Lee Yi nodded lightly, his words simple and capable. Today's Orochimaru has become the legendary Konoha Sannin, and is extremely powerful. Lee Yi didn't want to have too much interaction with him for the time being. Since your lady saint has recovered, then there is no need for me to stay here. Orochimaru said. Lee Yi's eyes lit up. Leaving so soon? Well done. Go now. But before that, Orochimaru looked at Lee Yi again, with a look of extreme interest in his eyes, and asked, this little brother, can you tell me how you did it? Ancestral secret recipe, will not be passed on. Lee Yi shook his head and said. Is that so? Orochimaru nodded lightly. A look of unwillingness flashed across the pair of snake eyes. But he ultimately did not pursue further questions. Because he knows that such ancestral secret skills generally require special bloodline boundaries, such as Sharingan of the Uchiha clan, Byakugan of the Hyuga clan, Shikatsumyaku Dead Bone Pulse of the Kagaya clan, and double demons close to each other. Technique, etc. To cast demonic illusion and release Susanoo, Sharingan is needed. To analyze the flow of the enemy's chakra and predict the enemy's attack, you need Byakugan. And if you want to grab a person from the devil and complete the complex process of returning the soul to the body, and reviving the dead, you need the bloodline of the person in front of you. But because of this, Orochimaru has developed a strong interest in Lee Yi at this moment. It's still 3 shifts today, this is the second shift, and the third shift is estimated to be late at night. Readers can watch it tomorrow morning. Well, go ahead, ask for silver tickets ×3. Chapter 29 Orochimaru is interested in Lee Yi. Chapter 3. Orochimaru has witnessed the death of too many people, and knows that life is fragile, so in order to obtain immortality, he experimented with countless living people. He believes that the human body contains power that cannot be used in a lifetime, so he experimented with the human body and wanted to use the Master's principle of longevity. And his research direction in the past few years is to use the curse seal to occupy other people's bodies, but occupying is an extremely long and difficult process. One is because the soul does not match the body, and the other is because the original owner's soul will his soul resisted. With Orochimaru's current technology, if you want to occupy a living person's body, it will take at least 10 years, as many as 20 years or even longer. So, occupying is not easy to do. Uzumaki Violet can become Orochimaru's experimental body is only one reason. That is, although Uzumaki Violet sold her soul to the devil, her body did not suffer any harm. So Orochimaru thought, wouldn't it be easier if he borrowed the body of Uzumaki's Violet for aborting rebirth? It's a pity that the ideal is full and the reality is skinny. Orochimaru experimented for 3 years, for 3 full years, without making the slightest progress. His soul does not match Uzumaki Violet's body at all. He left many curse marks on Uzumaki Violet's body, but no matter how many and strong the curse marks were, he couldn't let him occupy Uzumaki Violet's body. However, it is precisely because of the powerful power of the curse that the cells of the Uzumaki Violet have not died, but have always been alive. Otherwise, in the past 3 years, Uzumaki Violet's body would have rotted long ago. However, the power of the spell is not constant, it also needs to be supplied, and the way to supply it is to drink blood regularly. In the past 3 years, the food Orochimaru gave Uzumaki Violets was actually compressed human blood. As for the Shinxin pill that Uzumaki Violet takes every 3 days, it is to catalyze the power of the spell. You know, the stronger the power of the spell, the easier it is for Orochimaru to occupy the user's body. Because the power of the curse mark directly affects the cells, the stronger the power of the curse mark, the greater the impact on the cells, so that the soul of Orochimaru matches the body of the user better. In the original work of Hokage, Uchiha Sasuke did not hesitate to use Orochimaru's strongest spell, the Spell of the Sky, in order to gain more power. The Curse of the Sky directly acts on every cell of Sasuke Uchiha, so every time Sasuke Uchiha releases the power of the Curse of the Sky, he will turn into a monster with a dark body and wings. In Orochimaru's plan, as long as Sasuke Uchiha uses the power of the Heaven's Charm a few more times, the latter's body will undergo huge changes to match his soul perfectly. And that day was when he completely occupied Sasuke Uchiha's body. But Orochimaru didn't expect that at the last moment when he occupied Uchiha Sasuke's body, he was actually sealed by Uchiha Sasuke's older brother, Uchiha Itachi, using the Ten-Fist Sword. Not only that, but Uchiha Itachi also wiped out the power of the curse on Sasuke Uchiha. If it wasn't for Uchiha Itachi, Orochimaru would definitely be able to occupy Sasuke Uchiha's body. After all, Sasuke Uchiha uses the strongest spell. All in all, the stronger the power of the spell, the more likely the user's body will be occupied by Orochimaru. Why Orochimaru keeps giving Uzumaki Violet's Shinshin pills? The essence of Shinshin pill is a special catalyst that can enhance the power of the spell. Originally, in Orochimaru's plan, after a year or two, he should be able to occupy the empty shell of Uzumaki Violet. However, the appearance of Lee Yi has completely disrupted his plans. Lee Yi not only snatched Uzumaki's Roland's soul from the devil's hands, but also brought Uzumaki Violet back to life. Incredible. To be honest, Orochimaru was shocked at the moment. Is there really a ninjutsu that brings the dead back to life in this world? You know, even the anti-sky forbidden technique invented by the second-generation Hokage, impure world reincarnation is not a real resurrection. But facts speak louder than words. Uzumaki Violets are resurrected. It is rebirth. Just come back to life. Room for Orochimaru not to believe it. Therefore, Orochimaru had a strong interest in Lee Yi. This masked man in front of him can actually bring the dead back to life. Isn't that what I've been pursuing? Orochimaru has wanted eternal life ever since he saw the fragility of life. And now, the blood following this guy in front of me seems to be able to meet my goal. Orochimaru can't wait to arrest Lee Yi now and use him as experimental material. However, Orochimaru is cautious and suspicious by nature, so he does not dare to act rashly. Since this man wearing a mask in front of him can bring a dead person back to life, it means that he is a strong man. To deal with such a strong man, you must not rashly take action, you must stab him in the back to take him down. But how to stab the knife? In Orochimaru's pair of snake eyes, the light flickered slightly, thinking about the strategy to capture Lee Yi. Lee Yi saw Orochimaru's eyes. The brows under the mask frowned slightly. What the hell is this Orochimaru thinking again? Lee Yi thought to himself, does he want to use me as experimental material? Orochimaru has been trying to obtain immortality for years, but his experiments have had little effect. I've resurrected Uzumaki Violet now, and maybe he's moved. Thinking of this, the 5 fingers of Lee Yi's right hand are slightly bent. We'll take out Dinghai Shinpin at any time. If Orochimaru shoots him, he will never be polite. Do it to the death. If you can't do it, run to death. How easy. However, what surprised Lee Yi was that Orochimaru didn't shoot him, just asked with a smile, he, I don't know which country Yila is from. Lee Yi wanted to make up a random country. Konoha village anyway. Because he doesn't want to have too much intersection with Orochimaru yet. However, before Lee Yi could speak, a flattering laughter suddenly sounded behind him. Master Orochimaru, Yila is from Konoha village. At the same time as the voice sounded, Dani, who had been standing behind the secret door, came out and walked quickly towards Orochimaru. Hearing this, a fierce light suddenly appeared in Lee Yi's eyes. This goddamn power. Who the hell made you talk too much? Court death. This is the 3rd update. There was a problem in the backstage last night, and the chapter could not be published. Presumably many authors have the same problem as me. Happy New Year everyone. Finally, ask for a silver ticket, ask for a silver ticket, ask for a silver ticket. Important 3. Chapter 30_Strong Ambition Part 1. Lord Orochimaru, Eri is from Konoha village. Dali came out with a flattering smile and walked quickly towards Orochimaru. As soon as this word comes out, everyone present, including Lee Yi, changed their expressions slightly. Earlier, when he heard Orochimaru coming, Lee Yi immediately put on a mask, which means that Lee Yi did not want Orochimaru to know his identity. These villagers are not fools, they can see this. Although they don't like the people of Konoha village, they also have the right and wrong judgment. Since Lee Yi has cured Uzumaki Violet, then Lee Yi is the benefactor of their entire village, and they need to repay Izumi. Since Lee Yi didn't want Orochimaru to know his true identity, none of the villagers could talk too much. But now, Dolly took the initiative to reveal Lee Yi's information to Orochimaru. Even the white-haired village chief can't wait to give him a hard kick at this moment. What is this force trying to do? At this time, it should be unanimous to the outside world. How the hell did you act like a spy? In fact, not only the white-haired village chief, but most of the people present changed their gazes towards Dolly. They used to understand Dolly very well. After all, Dolly has been held down by Tianbao for so many years, so it is reasonable for Dolly to want to stand out. However, they did not expect that Dolly would be so excessive. Lee Yi is the benefactor of the whole village. As a part of this village, how can you betray the benefactor? It's utterly abominable. If it weren't for the presence of outsiders, then this group of villagers would have already spoken up and reprimanded vigorously. And when Lee Yi heard Dolly's words, a fierce light suddenly appeared in those eyes. This goddamn power. Court death. Since you are courting death, then Lao Su will fulfill you. Lee Yi wanted to take out the Dinghai Shenzhen and smashed it into Meat Chan with a stick. Leave him dead. But at this moment, Orochimaru suddenly stretched out his right hand and grabbed Dolly behind him. Lee Yi frowned slightly. This Orochimaru suddenly do. Could it be that he felt his murderous aura, so he protected Dolly? But why should he protect Dolly? Under Lee Yi's rather puzzled gaze, Orochimaru finally spoke, his voice extremely hoarse, and said with a smile, "Hee, I didn't expect you to be from Konoha village, it really surprised me." Hearing this, Lee Yi's expression changed slightly. Because he could hear the threat in Orochimaru's voice. Orochimaru experimented with human body, this is a great treason. If Lee Yi reports this to the 3 generations of Hokage, then Orochimaru will probably be humanely destroyed by the 3 generations of Hokage. No exaggeration at all. I don't know which organization Yila works for in Konoha. At this time, Orochimaru spoke again and asked. There are many organizations in Konoha village, which are divided into organizations on the surface and organizations in the dark. There are ninja organizations, medical organizations, family organizations, etc. On the bright side, these organizations on the bright side are managed by the 3 generations of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and others. There are organizations such as Anbu, Roots, and Shadows in Secret, and these secret organizations are managed by Shimura Danzo and others. All in all, there are many organizations in Konoha village. In fact, after hearing Dolly's words, Orochimaru searched all over his memory, but no matter how much he searched, he couldn't find a person named Yula in his memory. Therefore, he will ask which organization Lee Yi belongs to. He wanted to narrow down the search range so that he could search more precisely. However, the answer to Orochimaru was Lee Yi's indifferent words. Without notice. Hearing these 4 words, Orochimaru's eyes narrowed slightly, as if a flash of anger flashed. Obviously, he is still not reconciled. But in the end, Orochimaru didn't ask more, but said with a smile, "Hee, since that's the case, then I won't ask more. It's just that I have lived in Konoha village for 20 or 30 years, but I have never seen you. Strange." As soon as these words came out, the expressions of all the villagers changed. What? Orochimaru-sama actually lived in Konoha village for 20 or 30 years. That is to say. The white-haired village chief immediately asked, "Master Orochimaru, are you a ninja from Konoha village?" "That's right." Orochimaru nodded with a smile. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" There was a hint of anger in the eyes of the white-haired village chief. "Hee, you didn't ask me either." Orochimaru replied with a smile. The white-haired village chief's face sank slightly. Not only the white-haired village chief, but almost everyone's faces turned gloomy at this moment. They absolutely hate the people of Konoha village. Because their siblings, friends and family, many died at the hands of the Konoha village ninjas. If Orochimaru had revealed who he was from the beginning, they wouldn't have turned to Orochimaru for help even if they let Uzumaki violets die, rot, and stink. After all, it was still a time of war at that time, and the hatred of the country and the family was still there. They hated Konoha village to death at that time, and they would rather die than bow their heads to the people of Konoha village. As for now, 3 years have passed and the hatred has subsided, so they will allow Li Yi to treat the holy maiden, but even so, their attitude towards Li Yi is still extremely evil. It is precisely because Li Yi cured the saintess that their attitude towards Li Yi has undergone earth-shaking changes. If not, they would have already attacked Li Yi by now. But Orochimaru did not heal the saint. Therefore, when they heard that Orochimaru was from Konoha village, almost all the villagers looked at Orochimaru with a hint of malice. Just like they looked at Li Yi before. However, among the villagers present, there was only one person. He looked at Orochimaru. Not only did he not have the slightest disgust, but he was still extremely adoring and fanatical. And this person is the mighty force standing behind Orochimaru. Vigor believes that Orochimaru can fulfill his wishes. He wants to defeat Tianbao, he wants to be the village chief, he wants to make Uzumaki Violet his crotch slave. To fulfill these wishes, you must obtain the power of Orochimaru-sama. As long as you get the power of Lord Orochimaru, then, let alone a Tianbao, even if you add that Yila, I will not be afraid of it. I don't care what kind of hatred for the country, I just want to satisfy myself. People do not kill themselves for their own sake. As long as Lao Su can get the power of Lord Orochimaru, then Lao Su can become the village chief, and he can beat Violet and scream, ouch. At the same time, Orochimaru didn't seem to feel any malice from everyone. He still laughed and said, since the holy maiden has recovered, there is no need for me to stay here. Brother Yila, I hope we can stay in Konoha in the future. Meet in the village. Quote. After speaking, Orochimaru turned around and left without a trace of ink. Before leaving, though, Orochimaru patted Dolly's shoulder. Dolly only felt a slight pain in his shoulder, as if he was bitten by some kind of insect, but he didn't care, after all, it wasn't too painful. The first shift. There are still 3 shifts today. Ask for silver tickets ×3. Chapter 31 You Both Have to Die, Part 2. Orochimaru left without turning his head. Li Yi frowned slightly. Just left. This is not Orochimaru's style. In Li Yi's memory, Orochimaru is a person with great perseverance, and because of this, Orochimaru is extremely difficult to deal with. After he decides something, unless it is death, he will not let it go. In the original, Hokage, Orochimaru waited 3 or 5 years to occupy Sasuke Uchiha's body. If it wasn't sealed by Uchiha Itachi, Orochimaru would definitely be able to occupy Sasuke Uchiha's body. Can see Orochimaru's perseverance and patience. However, is such a person with both perseverance and patience that he just left. Li Yi is a little weird. However, just when Li Yi was suspicious, Dolly suddenly shouted, "Ah!" His voice was loud and very sudden, which startled everyone present. Everyone looked up at Dolly and asked, "What's wrong with you, Dolly?" Dolly also seemed very confused, touched his lips, and said, "Did I call you just now? Is it someone else's name?" Everyone turned Byakugan. Blinking vigorously, he said with a dazed expression, "I don't know why I." Ah. However, before Dolly had finished speaking, he suddenly opened his lips and shouted again. Everyone frowned. What happened to this power? It's enough to be a demon usually, how can you still be a demon at such a time? That Orochimaru of Konoha village, but hasn't left the village yet. Under the questioning and disgusting gazes of everyone, he covered his mouth vigorously, and explained in an angry tone, "My mouth seems to be out of my control." Ah. However, before he finished speaking, Dolly opened his mouth and shouted again. A look of horror was written on Vigor's face. What exactly is going on? Why am I calling? Why is my mouth out of my control? Before, Almost all the villagers suspected that Dolly was pretending to act as a demon to attract everyone's attention. But now, looking at Dolly's terrified face, it doesn't seem to be pretending. Everyone realized that something was wrong, and they frowned. "Brother Dolly, what's wrong with you? Are you all right?" A fat man who was only 1.7 meters tall but weighed more than 200 kilograms walked out of the crowd. As he walked towards Dolly, he asked, "Brother Dolly, don't scare me." This fat man is Dolly's younger brother. He advocated killing Li Yi before. The loudest voice counted Dolly, and it was him. However, when Fatty just walked in front of Dolly and wanted to find out, Dolly suddenly clenched his right hand and punched Fatty's face. This punch is extremely fast, like thunder. Everyone present did not respond. In the end, a powerful fist landed on Fatty's face without any fancy. Logically speaking, although Dolly is very strong, the fat man has 200 or 300 pounds. This punch of Dolly will at most cause him to suffer some skin trauma, and it will not kill him. However, with the energy from nowhere, Dolly directly blasted the fat man out. Fatty's body of 200 to 300 pounds was like a kite with a broken string. With the sound of broken bones, he slammed heavily on the wall, smashing the wall into a huge pit, and countless cracks spread. Come on. Many villagers have already reacted and rushed forward, wanting to see Fatty's injury. However, when they saw Fatty's injury, they all gasped and their expressions changed. Because Fatty's nose bone, face bone, forehead bone, are all broken. The face has been extremely distorted, not human-like. There was a bolder woman, she stretched out her fingers to test the fat man's breath. The next moment, she suddenly retracted her fingers as if electrocuted. That's right, the fat man is dead. A big punch knocked him out. Tianbao's expression changed slightly when he saw this scene. In terms of instant kill, he can also kill Fatty with just one blow. However, he couldn't beat the fat man like this with one punch. Unless it is someone who is extremely Grandmaster Taiju, otherwise, it is basically impossible to beat the fat man like this with one punch. In other words, the power of vigor is already above him. No, it is several times his strength. At this time, Dolly ran to the fat man and shouted, "What's wrong with you, little fat? Don't scare me, I don't know why, my fist doesn't obey my orders." Seeing Dolly running over, everyone avoided it, for fear that Dolly would go crazy again and affect them. Vigorously feel the pulse of the fat man. The pulse has stopped beating. Can't die anymore. Dolly suddenly lost control of his emotions and shouted loudly, "Little fatty, I'm sorry for you, I'm sorry for you, I'm sorry for you." Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. However, at the end of the shout, Dolly laughed. And laughed madly. Just imagine this scene, a man, holding a corpse with a distorted face, laughing wildly. So oozing. "Dolly, are you all right?" The villagers were a little scared and asked. He accidentally killed his best playmate, wouldn't Dolly be unable to withstand this kind of blow? Crazy. He's not crazy. Li Yi, who had been silent for a while, suddenly spoke up. "Dr. Yila, what's wrong with Dolly?" Everyone's eyes lit up and asked. In their eyes, since Li Yi can cure Uzumaki Violet, he must be able to see the problem of vigor. Li Yi replied, "If I'm not mistaken, he has now gained Orochimaru's power and has been controlled by Orochimaru." Master Orochimaru. Impossible. Master Orochimaru just came and left. When did he control the force? Everyone was very suspicious. Li Yi replied blankly, "I'm afraid it was when I patted him on the shoulder just now." Li Yi had just finished speaking when he suddenly swished vigorously and stood up abruptly. Tianbao and Violet immediately stood in front of Li Yi, staring cautiously at the force ahead. Since they have decided to be Li Yi's servants, they must protect Li Yi's safety even if they sacrifice their lives. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Dolly was still looking up to the sky and laughing. He covered his face with one hand and laughed loudly, "Is this power? This is the power of Lord Orochimaru. I finally got the power of Lord Orochimaru. My wish can finally come true. Ha 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 ha. Li Yi said. It seems that this force, not only did not feel the slightest sadness because of the death of a friend, but was actually very happy. However, before Li Yi finished speaking, Dolly turned around, pointed at Tian Bao and Li Yi, and said with a big laugh, "Today, both of you have to die." Then, he pointed his finger horizontally again, pointed at Uzumaki Violet, and said with a big laugh, "Tonight, I will be with you, the wedding night." Ha 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 ha. There is one more update, it will be late at night, readers can watch it again tomorrow morning. Ask for silver tickets times 1,000 trillion times. Chapter 32_Crazy Power Part 1. Vigorously laughing up to the sky, rampant to the extreme. Many villagers present couldn't help frowning after hearing Dolly's words. Is this guy crazy? Otherwise, why do you suddenly say such nonsense? Not only did he want to kill Yila and Tianbao, but he also wanted Lady Saintess to be his wife. Simply bullshit. The white-haired village chief's face sank immediately, and he reprimanded in a low voice. Dolly, don't make a fool of yourself, go back quickly. Shut the fuck up, Lao Su. Dolly pointed directly at the village chief, and yelled loudly, isn't an immortal thing really taking him as a character? From today on, I will be the head of this village, fuck me. As soon as these words came out, the white-haired village chief trembled with anger. Dolly, what nonsense are you talking about? Don't be nonsense. Among the crowd, a middle-aged man walked out. He was Dolly's uncle. Dolly lost his parents in his early years, and he was always raising Dolly. If it wasn't for him, Dolly would have starved to death long ago. However, before the middle-aged man could finish his sentence, Dolly suddenly shouted loudly, "Shut up your mother. Tomorrow night, betroth your daughter to me, I will spend a candle night with Uzumaki Violet tonight, and I will meet again tomorrow night. Your daughter's bridal chamber flower candle night." Badness. The middle-aged man heard this, he immediately cursed angrily, "Xiaolan is your cousin, how could you have such a dirty idea about her?" After speaking, the middle-aged man raised his right hand and hit Dolly's head. Vigorously shrinking his neck, he seemed a little scared. After all, over the years, he was used to being beaten by middle-aged men, and when he saw a middle-aged man lose his temper, he would be afraid. But suddenly it occurred to him that he has now acquired the power of Orochimaru-sama. Now he is invincible. Therefore, a bloodthirsty light suddenly flashed in Dolly's eyes, and he shouted in a cold voice, "I called you uncle, because I looked down on you, and you still put your nose on your face." Before he finished speaking, he stretched out his right hand vigorously and grabbed the middle-aged man's wrist. The middle-aged man only felt that his wrist was restrained by an iron pliers, unable to move at all. "Niza, you still dare to hit me?" Middle-aged man was furious and shouted loudly, "If it wasn't for me, your mother would have starved to death outside, and you still want to beat me now? I'll call you uncle, I'm giving you face. Today, if you don't agree to betroth Sister Shaolin to me, I'll let you know what cruelty is." Seeing that the middle-aged man's wrist couldn't move at all in his palm, Dolly suddenly gained more confidence and said with a grin. While speaking, the strong right hand gradually exerted force, holding the middle-aged man's wrist. The middle-aged man only felt that his bones were about to be crushed to pieces. He was angry and startled, and shouted loudly, "Dolly, you wicked beast! How did our Aoi family give birth to your wicked obstacle?" While speaking, he stretched out the other palm and swiped at Dolly's face. For so many years, he has long been used to playing vigorously, so he will not be afraid of vigorously now. However, Dolly's current mentality is extremely inflated, which is completely different from before. If it was before, then Dolly didn't dare to hide at all, and could only honestly follow the middle-aged man's slap. But now, he stretched out his other palm vigorously and pinched the middle-aged man's other wrist. As a result, both wrists of the middle-aged man were tightly pinched, unable to move. The strong hands were extremely powerful, and the man in the middle was pinched so much that his wrists hurt so much that his face turned blue from the pain. "You scumbag, you want to kill me without saying that you killed Xiaopeng." Middle-aged man yelled in pain. "Ni za. Ni zhang. Ni zhang. How did I teach you this kind of evil obstacle? Uncle, I'll give you another chance today. Tomorrow night, I'm going to have a wedding night with Sister Shaolin. Would you like to?" Looking at the angry but helpless expression of the middle-aged man, Dolly was extremely satisfied, and he asked with a sneer. Middle-aged man cursed directly. "I would like your mother to have a XX. Okay, don't want to." He smashed his mouth vigorously. His face seemed extremely calm, and said, "You are Shaolin's father. If you don't want to, then I will never be Shaolin's man, and I will never be able to spend the night with Shaolin in the wedding room, so you are a huge hindrance." "Niza, what are you trying to do?" While speaking, the middle-aged man raised his right foot, trying to kick it hard. However, just as the middle-aged man raised his foot, Dolly suddenly raised his right foot and kicked the middle-aged man. Bang! Accompanied by a muffled sound. And the sound of clothes tearing. The connection between the middle-aged man's two arms and his shoulders was immediately broken. Then, the armless body of the middle-aged man flew straight out like a cannonball. Blood splattered 2 lines as the middle-aged man flew out. And, with a loud bang, the middle-aged man's armless body slammed into the wall in the distance, smashing the stone wall abruptly. As soon as this scene comes out, hi! Everyone present couldn't help but take a deep breath. The reason why they didn't speak or intervene before was because the middle-aged man was Dolly's uncle, and he was a nurturing person for Dolly. No matter how maddened Dolly was, he would never take action against a middle-aged man. After all, middle-aged men are already equivalent to strong fathers. Which son would kill his own father, unless he was a wicked man? In the eyes of these villagers, although Dolly usually likes to be in the limelight, his nature is not bad, but he is somewhat underappreciated, so it is reasonable to have a lot of vanity. His nature is still kind. But now it seems, vigorously kind. Kind ass. If he is kind, how could he attack his uncle? Vigorously looking at the 2 bloody arms in his hands, his expression changed, and he seemed to be a little uncomfortable. But the next moment, his face returned to madness. To be precise, it's even crazier than before. He covered his face with his right hand, looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. "Today, whoever dares to stop me, I will kill anyone. Gods stop gods, Buddhas stop Buddhas." Hearing this, everyone stepped back. Dolly even killed the uncle who had brought him up, let alone a group of them who had no relatives and no reason. They don't dare to provoke Dolly now. After all, they don't want to cause their own death. However, at this moment, Li Yi suddenly sighed lightly, shook his head and said, "The psychology of a poor man becoming rich is really sad." "Who the fuck are you calling pathetic?" Dolly immediately widened his eyes angrily, turned his head to look at Li Yi, and shouted loudly, "Yila, the 3rd person to die today is you. Are you not a genius doctor? I want to see and blow your head off. After that, can you survive? Yesterday's 3rd update was not finished, so I will make it up today. So today is the 4th update. Chapter 33_extremely scheming and powerful Part 2. Li Yi didn't want to meddle in his own business. If someone else lives or dies, what does it have to do with him? However, Dolly actually wanted to kill him. Therefore, Li Yi will speak. Today's vigorous efforts are a kind of mentality of, the poor make the rich. The previous strong, lacking strength, was always stepped on by Tianbao, which made him very unhappy. Vigorously has great ambitions, but his strength is not worthy of his ambitions, so he used to look like he was underappreciated. But now, he has the power of Orochimaru. The sudden acquisition of this extremely powerful power made his mentality greatly inflate, so he became crazy. However, strength and Xinxing need to be matched. For example, Tianbao, he has an extremely strong strength, but before he has this strength, he already has a temperament that is not afraid of humiliation. But not vigorously. He doesn't have the temperament of Tianbao, but he has more power than Tianbao, so he will be swollen, crazy, and will kill the uncle who raised him. However, when God made you perish, it made you crazy first. The current power is not far from extinction. Why Li Yi said that Dolly is a sad person. The third person to die today is you. Vigorously shouted at Li Yi. His face was extremely ferocious and murderous. Li Yi immediately tensed up. Tianbao said, "Sister, you protect Lord Yila, and I will deal with Dolly." Tianbao, be careful. Uzumaki Violet is a little reluctant to let her younger brother take risks. She can't let Li Yi be in danger, so she can only say this. Tianbao, don't worry, you are the fourth person to die today. He stepped out vigorously and walked towards the three of Li and Yi, his voice extremely cold. However, if you stop me, then I don't mind making you the third person to die today. Hearing Vigor's threat, Tianbao didn't reply, but just took out a kunai and took a fighting posture. Although there is no reply, but the attitude has been very obvious. Want to touch Lord Yila? Step over my corpse first. Everyone stepped back one after another, for fear of being affected. After all, fairies fight and mortals suffer. Whether it is Tianbao or the current strength, they are not something they can provoke. They didn't want to be the mortal who suffered. Therefore, in just a few breaths, the surroundings of Li Yi and Dolly became empty. Dolly walked 2 or 3 meters away in front of Tianbao, crossed his arms and said, "Tianbao, I'll give you one more chance, are you sure you're going to die now?" Tianbao didn't speak, but clenched kunai tightly, ready to attack Vigor at any time. According to Tianbao's judgment, although Vigor's strength, speed, and patience have been greatly improved, these are only taijutsu, not ninjutsu. As long as he uses ninjutsu, then he is sure to defeat the force. Don't talk, right? Okay, then I think you've acquiesced, and I'll make you the third person to die today. Holding his arms vigorously, he stepped towards Tianbao. To be honest, at the moment, Dolly's whole body is full of flaws. But he didn't care at all. It's just rampant to the extreme. Tianbao seemed to want to test Dolly, and immediately flashed his body to the left side of Dolly's body. Ding! A sound of metal interlacing sounded. I saw kunai, as if scratching on the metal, actually a string of sparks. And Vigor's skin was intact, only a white mark appeared. Tianbao's pupils shrank slightly. Vigorously has great strength, speed, and endurance, and that's all, but also has a body as hard as iron. That Orochimaru come from? Why is very strong with such a strong strength? At this time, Dolly smiled disdainfully and said, Tianbao, your current strength is simply not enough to hurt me, and this is the gap between the two of us. Before he finished speaking, he stretched out his right hand vigorously, with a speed like a thunderbolt, and grabbed it towards Tianbao. Tianbao's pupils shrank, and he immediately used the substitute technique. Bang! So, instead of grabbing Tianbao's body with his right hand, he crushed a wooden stake. At the same time, Tianbao's body reappeared in front of Li Yi, and he whispered, "Sister, take Lord Yila out of here first. I will try Kaden fire-style ninjutsu." "Why don't I use the seal to seal him?" Violet asked. "No, his speed is too fast, your sealing technique can't touch him at all." Tianbao shook his head. "Sister, hurry up and leave with Lord Yila." However, before Tianbao finished speaking, Dolly's figure, like a teleportation, appeared above the heads of Li Yi and the others out of thin air. "Want to run? Can you run away?" Vigorously falling from the sky, the speed is extremely fast, even Tianbao did not react. And when Tianbao reacted, his strong hands had already grabbed his shoulders. "Ninjutsu needs a hand seal. As long as I keep you from forming a seal, then I will be invincible." Vigorously laughed loudly, his hands slammed hard, trying to break Tianbao's shoulders. Although Dolly's mentality is already crazy, he is not stupid. He knows that if Tianbao or Violet uses ninjutsu, he will be in trouble. That's why you want to break Dolly's shoulder and stop him from performing ninjutsu. Tianbao immediately mobilized chakra to resist vigor, but vigor was as powerful as an ox. Even if he used chakra to resist, there was still a hint of pain on his face. Uzumaki Violet immediately wanted to use the sealing technique to help Tianbao. However, as soon as she made a seal, Dolly suddenly grinned, grabbed Tianbao, and threw it at Uzumaki Violet. Tianbao's body smashed onto the delicate body of Uzumaki Violet, and the two fell to the ground together. Seeing this scene, he vigorously smiled with satisfaction. It seemed that all this was within his expectations. The next moment, without hesitation, Dolly jumped up into the air and kicked the heads of Uzumaki Tianbao and Uzumaki Violet. Dolly knew very well that in this village, the only people who threatened him were Uzumaki Tianbao and Uzumaki Violet. So, when Dolly was holding Fatty's corpse, he was already thinking, how can we knock out these two people at the same time? So he came up with this plan. When he was dealing with Tianbao, Uzumaki Violet would definitely use the sealing technique to help Tianbao, and at this moment, as long as Tianbao was thrown at Uzumaki Violet would definitely reach out to pick it up, and then both of them would be smashed to the ground at the same time. And then you can knock them both out in one fell swoop. Dolly is not stupid at all, on the contrary, he is extremely scheming. Second update. There are 2 more updates today. Ask for silver tickets tilde. Chapter 34_1 hit second. Third more. Vigorously descended from the sky, kicking Tianbao and Violet, showing no mercy. Because the force is extremely fast, Tempo and Violet are too late for the hand seal. Tianbao immediately supported Violet, trying to block the force with his back. Even if he was violently kicked to death, he couldn't let his sister get hurt. This is his belief. Uzumaki Violet went to justice 3 years ago. Back then, he kept saying that he wanted to protect his sister, but in the end, her sister died in front of him. So, now, even if he died, he would not let the tragedy 3 years ago happen again. Vigorously seeing this scene, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly, as if this scene was also what he expected. My kick can knock Tianbao to death or knock him unconscious, and then the remaining energy that falls on Violet will definitely make Violet pass out. As long as they are not there, then Lao Su is invincible. I have to say that Dolly calculated very well, and squeezed the Uzumaki brothers and sisters to the death. It's a pity that he didn't count Li Yi. He felt that Li Yi was just a medical ninja and didn't have much combat power, so he didn't count on Li Yi. He thinks that his good wishes will soon come true. However, the ideal is very full, the reality is very skinny. The strong body fell from the air and kicked Tianbao's back. However, at this critical moment, a golden light suddenly flashed in Li Yi's hand, and then an iron rod with a thick index finger burst out, penetrating Dolly's body. To be precise, it penetrated the powerful lower body. That's sour . Dolly didn't see what was happening at all, and then his face turned blue. He let out an extremely sharp scream, and his movements were slightly stagnant because of the pain. At this moment, Tianbao and Violet rolled aside. Vigorously kicked his right foot to the ground, leaving a deep pit on the hard floor. Li Yi was taken aback when he saw the force covering his bloody crotch and yelling loudly. Seems to be in the wrong place. But, well poke. Dolly, this color embryo, not only wants Violet's, but also his own cousin. This color embryo should be a eunuch. At the same time, under the astonished gazes of Tianbao and Violet, the iron rod in Li Yi's hand suddenly shortened, then suddenly became thicker, and finally shot towards vigorously again. The Dinghai Shenzhen was growing so fast that no one in the room could see it clearly. The next moment, there was a muffled sound of boom. The thick iron rod fell heavily on the strong chest. The vigorous body instantly turned into a lobster, with its waist bent, arms and legs stretched forward, looking extremely funny, and flew out. Boom! With a loud noise, the Dinghai Shenzhen pressed against the strong chest, and instantly broke through the hard and heavy stone wall. vigorous body, like a cannonball, shot into the distance and disappeared in an instant. Ding! Divine needle suddenly shortened and disappeared from Li Yi's palm. From the appearance of the Dinghai Shenzhen to the disappearance of the Dinghai Shenzhen, it took 5 or 6 seconds before and after. The entire hall was still shaking slightly, and the dust fell from the top of the head, as if it would collapse in the next moment. This is because the impact force caused by Dinghai Shenzhen is too great. Everyone present was stunned, including Tianbao and Violet. With just one blow, the terrifying force was knocked away. Incredible. The strength of vigor, they have already seen it just now, it is stronger than Tianbao. However, even so, he was still beaten by one move. How did this Yila do it? And that stick, what kind of weapon is it, and why is it so magical? Everyone looked at Li Yi with shock and curiosity. And Tianbao looked at Li Yi and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He almost fell into the hands of the force just now. In fact, in terms of overall strength, Tianbao is still above the strength. However, vigorously beat Tianbao by surprise. Whether it was vigorous physical skills or vigorous scheming, Tianbao was caught off guard. Moreover, there is another reason, that is, Tianbao has concerns. If this battle was just a battle between Tianbao and Dali, and if Li Yi and Violet were not present, then Tianbao would have the last laugh. After all, Tianbao is someone who has been on the battlefield and has experienced countless fights, and will never drown in this small wind and waves. However, in order to protect the Violet, Tianbao will be confused. Before, Tianbao never put Dali in his eyes. As a special Jonin, he has his pride, and naturally he will not look down on an ordinary person. But it is precisely because of his pride that he almost lost this time. If Lin Chen hadn't acted in time, he would probably be dead by now. Moreover, even if he has been dignified against the enemy from the beginning, if he wants to defeat Dali, I am afraid that he will have to pay a terrible price. After all, the current strength is not covered. However, around this, Dali was still beaten by Li Yi. One hit. This made Tianbao feel a little ashamed. Before, he also wanted to duel with Li Yi. Looking at it now, how stupid and ridiculous what he did at that time. If Mr. Li Yi had taken out that weapon at that time, he would be dead now. It turns out that Lord Li Yi has a large number of people, and he has never bothered with me. If said before, Tianbao was willing to be Li Yi's servant, just because Li Yi saved Violet. So now, Tianbao has gradually convinced Li Yi. At the same time, outside the village, Orochimaru did not leave immediately, but leaned against a big tree outside the village, with his eyes slightly closed and his arms folded, as if he was waiting for something. As long as the little guy with developed limbs can touch Yila's body, then the power of the curse will enter Yila's body. Orochimaru secretly said in his heart, the power I gave him can last for about 10 minutes. During these 10 minutes, even if I can't hurt Yila, I will definitely be able to touch Yila's body. A satisfied smile appeared on Orochimaru's pale face. That's right, his purpose is only one, and that is to leave a trace of the power of the curse on Li Yi's body. For Orochimaru, the power of the curse mark is equivalent to positioning. As long as the opponent has the power of the curse mark on his body, he can track the opponent's position. Because Orochimaru wants to study Li Yi, he must first locate Li Yi in order to capture Li Yi in the future. Orochimaru felt that his plan was sure to succeed. But at this moment, a burly figure, like a cannonball, flew straight out of the village. Whoosh! With a cracking sound. The third update. Well, the world is asking for silver tickets. Chapter 35 Shocked Orochimaru Part 1. With a loud bang, the burly body slammed into a tree next to Orochimaru. A 10-year-old sturdy tree was broken by the waist. The burly body, along the tree, slowly slid to the ground. Orochimaru was startled and hurriedly turned to look. The next moment, his pupils shrank. Because this burly man in front of him is none other than Dali. However, the strength at this time looked quite miserable. The clothes on his lower body have been stained with blood, and it seems that he has become a eunuch. His chest was so sunken that he must have broken all 8 ribs. His whole person was dying, as if he would be out of breath in the next moment. Orochimaru's expression changed slightly. Previously, the reason why he patted Dolly's shoulder was that he had left behind the power of a curse mark in Dolly's body. Relying on the power of the curse seal, Dolly is not only infinitely powerful and extremely fast, but also extremely hard, making him invulnerable. Although the effect only lasted for 10 minutes, within those 10 minutes, even a Jonin could not easily defeat Dolly. After 10 minutes, it's not a problem, because once 10 minutes pass, the force will completely collapse. Orochimaru thought that no matter how strong that Yila was, he would have to wait 10 minutes before he could defeat Dolly. And within these 10 minutes, as long as Dolly has physical contact with him, the curse mark on Dolly's body can be silently transferred to Li Yi's body. But how long has it been? 1 minute, 2 minutes. It's not more than 3 minutes anyway. Vigorously was beaten like this. And it seems to be flying directly from the hall. Just how powerful is it to be able to knock a living person hundreds of meters away? Too terrifying. Even Orochimaru couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva at this time. Without the slightest hesitation, Orochimaru turned and left. That Yula is too powerful to be provoked by him. Better go. But at this moment, behind Orochimaru, suddenly came Dolly's extremely weak voice. "Oh, Lord Orochimaru, save me, save me." Orochimaru stopped. "Are you still alive?" Because he was a little surprised. With such a serious injury, it stands to reason that Dolly should have died a long time ago. But now, he still has a breath. It seems that the power of the spell has stimulated his potential. Orochimaru thought. But Orochimaru didn't think much about it, but without turning his head, he said coldly, "Trash, you shouldn't be living in this world." After saying that, Orochimaru stepped away. Looking vigorously at the back of Orochimaru's departure, those eyes gradually became dull, and finally they were completely empty. Vigorously died. And it's deadly. After a while, many people in the village ran out. Seeing Dolly leaning on the trunk of a broken tree, not moving at all, everyone's faces were a little complicated. A few daring people went up to test the pulse and breath of vigor. The results are obvious. Alas. The white-haired village chief sighed lightly and said, "Dolly was once a sensible, obedient, and self-motivated child. I don't know when he turned into this, alas, alas." The white-haired village chief sighed and sighed. As for the other villagers, they don't feel pity for Dolly, but feel that they are worthless. Vigorously killed 3 people one after another, and one of them was the uncle who raised him. If such a person does not die, it will be a disaster for their entire village. Li Yi, Tianbao, and Violet also came out. Thump, Tianbao knelt down on one knee in front of Li Yi without warning. Under Li Yi's rather puzzled eyes, Tianbao clenched his right fist and put it on his heart, saying, "Lord Yila, Tianbao thanks you for your generosity and your kindness of not killing." As soon as these words came out, Li Yi understood. When he was in the dark room before, Tianbao wanted to kill Li Yi. And now, with just one move, Li Yi has made vigor a second. What a power gap. In order to thank Li Yi for his kindness of not killing, Tianbao would kneel down and apologize to Li Yi in front of so many people. In fact, Tianbao guessed wrong. Li Yi was able to lose his strength in one move was because he was strong at the time, his body was in the air, and he was unprepared. Li Yi took the opportunity to shoot, so he was able to use the Dinghai Shenzhen to kill him with one blow. But Tianbao was different. When Lin Chen and Tianbao confronted each other, Tianbao was waiting in full force, and there was no flaw. Once the Dinghai Shenzhen fails to kill Tianbao with one blow, then in the following battle, Li Yi will be at a disadvantage and will eventually be killed by Tianbao. Li Yi was able to kill Dolly, not only because Dinghai Shenzhen was powerful, but also because Li Yi caught Dolly's flaw. This is the result of a combination of two factors. Get up. Li Yi said lightly. Thank you for your forgiveness. Tianbao nodded solemnly, and after he finished speaking, he stood up. Li Yi found that the eyes of the villagers looking at him had changed. If said before, because Li Yi saved Uzumaki Violet, the eyes of these villagers turned from contempt and disdain to equality and respect. So now, their eyes have become panic and fear. Because they are afraid of Li Yi's revenge. After all, they did so many things to Li Yi before. However, Li Yi did not intend to care about them in general. Who advocated killing Li Yi the loudest at that time? Dolly, Dolly's younger brother, and Dolly's uncle, are all dead now. As for Tianbao, he has now become Li Yi's servant. Therefore, Li Yi disdains to care about these ordinary people. Lord Yila, where are you going next and what are you doing? Tianbao asked. Li Yi wants Tianbao and Violet to stay here. After all, he can't even take care of himself now, so how could he carry two burdens? Although Tianbao is a special Jonin and Violet has a powerful sealing technique, in the face of a truly powerful enemy, the two of them only have a share of death. Take the 7 ninja swordsmen from before. If Tianbao and Violet met them, even if my siblings were to fight for their lives, they could not exchange 2 for 2, at most, exchange 2 for 1. But Li Yi is different. If he encounters the 7 ninja swordsmen again now, he will not hesitate to grab the Dinghai Shenzhen and run away. The one that never looks back. When escaping, don't care about other people. Therefore, Li Yi wanted the 2 siblings to stay. However, suddenly, Li Yi's eyes lit up, as if he had thought of something, and immediately asked, "This seems to be the boundary of the land of rain." That's right. Tianbao nodded slightly. Looking at Li Yi's slightly surprised expression, Tianbao was quite surprised. Why did Lord Yila emphasize the 3 words, land of rain? The next update is around 2200. Ask for a silver ticket. Chapter 36_Exploring Information, Part 2. Today, Li Yi has 3 unfinished tasks. 1. Kill Uchiha Fugaku. 2. Save Uchiha Makoto. 3. Capture the heart of Uchiha Makoto. 2 of them are related to Uchiha Makoto. And Uchiha Makoto is now captured by the Land of Rain. Li Yi was still thinking about how to sneak out of Konoha village and complete these 2 tasks. Konoha village is guarded all the year round. A weak person like Li Yi cannot leave the village without a legitimate reason. But now, where Li Yi is located, is in the boundary of the Land of Rain. It's really worth the effort. Do you know a man named Uchiha Makoto? Li Yi looked at Tianbao and asked. Tianbao shook his head. I don't know. Is she from the Uchiha clan? Uchiha family is extremely famous in the entire ninja world, so Tianbao also knows it. That's right. Li Yi nodded lightly. Don't ask any more questions. After all, Tianbao has been retired for several years, and it is only natural that he does not know the intelligence in the country of rain. However, Tianbao's brows suddenly wrinkled, as if he had thought of something, but then, his face became entangled and hesitant. But he is not an indecisive person after all, so he just struggled for a moment, then he said, "Sir, a few days ago, I heard that the country of rain has arrested 2 people from the Uchiha family." As soon as these words came out, Li Yi's eyes lit up immediately. Looking at Li Yi's surprised and puzzled eyes, Tianbao explained, "Sir, I know half of the ninjas in the country of rain now, and there are a few who have a good relationship with me. We often exchange letters, so although I am not in the country of rain, I still know a thing or two about some information about the country of rain." Quote. So it is. Li Yi nodded. Then can you take me into the land of rain? Yes. Tianbao nodded lightly. The ninja guarding the city gate in the country of rain is my junior, and he will let us go. As soon as these words came out, Li Yi immediately stretched out his right hand and patted Tianbao on the shoulder. I didn't expect Tianbao to be so useful. But the next moment, Tianbao's face became worried and hesitant again, and he said, "Sir, if you are going to save those 2 Uchiha clansmen, then I'm afraid I can't take you there. Hearing this, Li Yi narrowed his eyes. But he didn't blame anything. Because he understands Tianbao. Tianbao used to be a ninja in the Land of Rain. Although he has now retired, his heart is still toward the Land of Rain. And more importantly, if Li Yi relied on Tianbao's relationship to enter the Country of Rain, and then made a scene in the Country of Rain, and finally escaped with Uchiha Makoto, then the unlucky, not only Tianbao, but also the hole in the village, there or even those ninja friends of Tianbao. At that time, I am afraid that the entire village will be in a river of blood. Li Yi didn't intend to hide Tianbao, so he said directly, I want to enter the Country of Rain and save a Uchiha clan. Sure enough. Tempo was caught in a dilemma. He didn't want the entire village to be slaughtered, and he didn't want his ninja friends to be killed because of it. But he didn't want to betray Li Yi either. Even though Tianbao has seen many strong winds and waves, he doesn't know what to do at this moment. The end, Tianbao could only ask, Sir, is the one you want to save the one named Uchiha Makoto? That's right. Li Yi nodded lightly. Sir, I can go to the Country of Rain to inquire for you. I will tell you all the information I can find, and I can also send you into the Country of Rain, but after everything, Tianbao can't do anything. Tianbao said with an extremely embarrassed expression. Li Yi didn't say much, just nodded, well, okay. My lord, when are you going to let me act? Tianbao looked at Li Yi and asked. Act now. Li Yi said lightly. Now. Tianbao was taken aback. Then he regained his calm, nodded and said, okay, then I'll go look for information for you now. Go ahead. Li Yi nodded slightly. Remember, that woman's name is Uchiha Makoto, with long black hair. Li Yi told Tianbao almost everything he knew about Uchiha Makoto. After Tianbao heard the words, he nodded, okay, my lord, I'll go. After speaking, Tianbao left without looking back. Other villagers did not hear the conversation between Li Yi and Tianbao, so they were all slightly surprised when they saw this scene. What is Tianbao going to do? Why is it so hot? At this time, Uzumaki Violet walked up to Li Yi and said, Sir, please forgive Tianbao. Tianbao has a kind heart and doesn't want to see his relatives and friends killed, so he refuses to help you. Li Yi shook his head gently. I didn't blame him at all. That's fine. Uzumaki Violet breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, Tianbao was able to do this for Li Yi. She was very surprised. She thought Tianbao didn't even care. After that, the villagers in the village began to bury the dead. And Li Yi stayed in the village, waiting for news from Tianbao. Time flies and night falls. Li Yi looked at the stars in the sky, and there was a hint of complexity on his increasingly mature and handsome face. On this day, he experienced too many ups and downs. Out to drink ramen and was almost beaten to death by Uchiha Fugaku. Fortunately, the infinite evolution system was obtained. After that, he was taken away by the 7 ninja swordsmen and almost killed. Fortunately, there was Dinghai Shenzhen, and Li Yi was able to escape successfully. After that, he was stunned by force and almost died of being roasted alive. Fortunately, an elixir was successfully evolved. Then he met Orochimaru, and he fought, indirectly. All in all, Li Yi has experienced too much today. Even now, Li Yi has not recovered. Li Yi's state is understandable. After all, the time before and after is too short. It was the evening of yesterday when he drank ramen, and now it is also evening, so the time has only passed 1 day and 1 night. Even though Li Yi has turned black, it is indeed a bit too reluctant to let him accept so many ups and downs in this short period of time. Without thinking any more, Li Yi slowly exhaled a turbid breath. There was a tired look on his handsome face. From yesterday to now, he has been working hard all the time, and he has not had a good rest at all. Now that all the crises have been lifted, Li Yi is relieved a lot at once. In addition, he has just taken a hot bath. Therefore, The tiredness is like a surging tide, pouring into every nerve of Li Yi's body. Li Yi couldn't bear it any longer, lay on the bed, and fell asleep. However, as soon as Li Yi snored lightly, Uzumaki Violet walked in. And the clothes on her body, are quite few. Only 2 pieces up and down. Second update. Ask for silver tickets. Chapter 37 _ don't like him. First more. Violet wears very little at this time. Her long yuhi-colored hair poured down like a waterfall, reaching the tip of the times, and her back was extremely beautiful. Her figure, although not as hot as a cow, is also very graceful, XX in front and back. Perhaps because of the lack of sunlight all the year round, her skin was extremely fair and smooth, as if she had just taken a bath in milk, and her jade color was glowing. Most importantly, the way she looked at Li Yi was obviously different from the way she looked at other people. If you say, the way she looks at other people, it gives people a feeling of extreme coldness, indifference, aloofness, and rejection of others thousands of miles away. And when she looked at Li Yi, it was a look of gratitude, admiration, fear, and admiration. Eyes are the windows to the soul. What is in her heart, her eyes will express, so her eyes will not lie. Seeing that Li Yi was sleeping soundly, Violet's face was slightly startled, and her walking movements became a lot more cautious in an instant, and she didn't dare to make any sound, for fear of disturbing Li Yi. The end. Violet walked carefully in front of Li Yi and knelt down beside him. Looking at Li Yi's handsome cheeks, Violet couldn't help but feel a little heartbeat, and the speed of her heart began to increase gradually. And in her head, because of this, some shy scenes began to appear. Violet shook her head hurriedly, touched her heart with her right hand, and said in her heart, "Master Yila is my master, how can I have dirty thoughts? Tonight, I will honestly stay by his side to let the enemy sneak attack." Suddenly, Violet's thoughts changed. However, if Lord Yila asks me to serve him, what should I do? Although I can't refuse the Lord's request, but I'm just his servant, not his slave. Violet was in a tangle. She looked away from the handsome, angular cheeks, and her little face gradually became hot. After a long time, she finally made a decision. If Lord Yila asks me to serve, then I will never refuse his request, because he saved my life. Violet covered her heart with both hands and made an oath in her heart. Because she had just taken a hot bath, she was wearing very thin clothes, but because of this, her faint body fragrance drifted into Li Yi's nose. Smelling this fragrance, Li Yi had a beautiful dream. Time always goes by quickly. The next morning, Li Yi woke up. The first time I woke up, I saw Violet kneeling beside him, hands drooping, head drooping, eyes closed and breathing evenly, apparently asleep. Even the Violet, who was already asleep, was still incomparably beautiful. And more importantly, Violet has very little clothes on her body. Because Li Yi has just woken up now, so, men, it's all like this. Therefore, seeing such a beauty, Li Yi instantly, without any hesitation, Li Yi stretched out his right hand and grabbed it towards Violet. Just do it. If it was the previous Li Yi, then he would definitely hesitate to grind. As a senior Hokage fan, he did not want to disrupt the normal development of this world. Li Yi started with Tsunade is because he knows Tsunade. He knows that Tsunade has never been married in his life. Even if he does marry Tsunade in the future, it will not affect the normal development of the world. It can be said that the previous Li Yi still had a beautiful fantasy about this world. But now, Li Yi will definitely not be like that. Because in this world of survival of the fittest, no strength is just shit. No, not even shit. The environment will change. People change too. Li Yi has now changed. So, do it when it's time to do it. Li Yi had already put his big hand on Violet's smooth shoulder. Violet's delicate body suddenly trembled slightly, and there was a hint of yuhi on that beautiful cheek. Oh! Li Yi's eyes twitched, and a strange light flashed across those piercing eyes. This is... Wake up! Li Yi, hello, 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 Xindao. However, Violet still closed her eyes at this time, but her breathing was a little uneven. Obviously, she is pretending to be asleep now. It seems to have acquiesced. Li Yi smiled charmingly and stretched out the other palm, ready to do something more excessive. But at this moment, there was a knock on the door outside the room. With the knock on the door, there was Tianbao's voice. Lord Yila, I have found some details about that Uchiha Makoto. The situation is urgent and urgent. Huh. Hearing Tianbao's words, Li Yi frowned. Is the form urgent? That is, Uchiha Makoto is going to die soon. Without the slightest hesitation, Li Yi stood up directly. Before, he wanted Tianbao to wait outside first. Anyway, it wouldn't take long for him and Violet, only half an hour to an hour. However, in the current situation, he can't help but be willful. I'll change your clothes. Violet also stood up and said softly. Li Yi did not refuse. Violet seemed to be very good at serving people, and quickly dressed Li Yi. Looking at Li Yi's slightly puzzled eyes, Violet Lan explained, Sir, when I first came to the village, I took care of the cow elder sister. So it is. Li Yi nodded lightly. No wonder he is so good at taking care of people, he is a veteran. Go out after you get dressed. After speaking lightly, Li Yi pushed open the door and walked out. Well, okay. Violet's cheeks were slightly yoohy, and her neck was also a little hot. But the next moment, she breathed a sigh of relief, and her right hand stroked her heart. A look of relief appeared on that delicate and beautiful face. I thought I was going to be fucked by adults today. She breathed a long sigh of relief. Although she is mentally prepared, her feelings for Li Yi now are only gratitude, admiration, and fear. As for the good feelings between men and women, she has almost no feelings for Li Yi. After all, she has only known Li Yi for less than a day, so what kind of affection can she have? Although I am the servant of the Lord, I am afraid I will never like him in my life. After all, I don't like the character of the Lord very much. Seeing the back of Li Yi leaving, Violet caressed her heart and thought to herself. In fact, this point, Violet guessed wrong. And it was terribly wrong. She would never have imagined that 10 years later, all of her mind would be filled with Li Yi, and it had even reached the level of, one day's absence is like 3 autumns. Of course, that's all for later. Ask for silver tickets. Chapter 38 The Dog Takes the Mouse Part 2. Early morning. In Anning Village, a remote place. Tempo is talking to Li Yi. Tianbao said, My lord, I found out that one of the 2 Uchiha people is indeed called Uchiha Makoto. As expected, he was caught by the Rain Country. Li Yi nodded slightly, then said, Go ahead. Tianbao continued, Today at noon, the Land of Rain will publicly execute the 2 Uchiha clansmen. Noon today. Li Yi's eyes narrowed slightly. No wonder Tempo said the situation was urgent and urgent. Li Yi looked up at the sky. The sun has risen from the east, and from the fresh yuhi before, it has gradually become bright. How long does it take to get from here to the Land of Rain? Li Yi asked immediately. If you leave now, you should be able to arrive before noon. Tianbao replied. Then go now. Li Yi said without hesitation. While walking, talk at the same time. Okay, my lord. Tianbao nodded slightly. At this time, Violet had already dressed and walked over. Seeing that both Li Yi and Tianbao were about to act, Violet asked, Sir, do you want to take me with you? Li Yi thought for a moment, then nodded, Let's follow along. Yes, my lord. The violet head tapped. The 3 set off together. On the way. Because Tianbao was the leader, he walked at the forefront, he said, because the Rain Country suffered huge losses in the Second Ninja War, and now he has caught a person from Konoha village, and he is also a member of the Uchiha clan. So it was decided that the 2 Uchiha people would be beheaded in public to boost morale. Quote. Who made this decision? Hanzo of the Salamander. Li Yi asked. Tianbao's eyes glared fiercely and said, Sir, in the realm of the Rain Country, it is absolutely forbidden to call Lord Hanzo by his name. Li Yi didn't care, he just asked, do you think he made the decision? According to reliable information, this public execution was indeed decided by Hanzo-sama. Tianbao nodded slightly. Hanzo of the Salamander is a fucking idiot. Li Yi immediately scolded angrily. As soon as these words came out, Tianbao's face changed dramatically again, and he hurriedly looked around. Fortunately, no one was around. Tianbao breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at Li Yi and reminded, Sir, this is the boundary of the Land of Rain, and Lord Hanzo is the leader of this country. You must be cautious in your words and deeds, maybe the walls have ears. I'm just telling the truth. Li Yi didn't seem to care. In this day and age, Hanzo of the Salamander is one of the strongest beings in the ninja world and is known as a demigod. You must know that the real god of ninja is the first Hokage Senju Hashirama, the fierce man who pressed Kyuubi, 9 tails, to the ground as a hammer. However, Hanzo of the Salamander can be hailed as a demigod by the world, which shows how powerful he is. However, even so, Li Yi still felt that Hanzo of the Salamander was a fool. The Uchiha family is full of talented people, and all kinds of fierce people emerge in an endless stream. Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Kagami, Uchiha Shisui, Uchiha Itachi, and later Uchiha Obito, Uchiha Sasuke. Any of these fierce people can stir the existence of the entire ninja world. Perhaps in this day and age, the Uchiha family did not give birth to 2 powerful characters, but this is only temporary, not permanent. After all, the reincarnation of Indra will appear in the Uchiha family sooner or later. If Hanzo of the Salamander kills the 2 Uchiha clansmen in public, then not only Hanzo of the Salamander, but even the entire Rain Country will suffer endless revenge from the Uchiha clan. By then, Hanzo of the Salamander must not die. Of course, in the original book of Hokage, Hanzo of the Salamander, the existence known as a demigod, did not end well in the end. All in all, if Hanzo of the Salamander is really going to do this kind of thing, well, he's an idiot. Absolutely stupid. Li Yi suddenly changed the conversation and asked, have you heard of Akatsuki? Akatsuki, heard. Tianbao nodded. It is said that the ninja organization was established by 3 young people, and their goals are also very ambitious. It seems that they want to change the country, through the communication between people, set up a road leading to world peace. Bridge of Hope. Then do you know what the Akatsuki leader's name is now? Li Yi asked again. I heard from one of my juniors. Tianbao nodded. It seems to be called Mi. What is Mi? Yahiko, right? Li Yi took Tianbao's words. Yes, that's right. Tianbao's eyes lit up and he nodded fiercely. I remember, the name of Akatsuki's leader is Yahiko. Speaking of this, Tianbao's face became surprised again. He turned his head to look at Li Yi, and said, Sir, you have heard of such a small organization as Akatsuki, it's really incredible. Small organization. Li Yi suddenly laughed. Tianbao's face was very puzzled. What are the adults laughing at? Why do I have this, he's laughing at my ignorance, feeling? For Tianbao's suspicious look, Li Yi didn't intend to explain, just smiled without saying a word. If Tianbao knew that after many years, Akatsuki almost wiped out the entire Konoha village with just a few people, no, not just a few people, but a few corpses, then he would have been shocked by his jaw by now. Didn't think much about it, and after that, Li Yi breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that Nagato hasn't turned black yet, which is great. There was a satisfied arc on the corner of his mouth. That's right, until now, Li Yi is still thinking about how to capture the Rinnegan of Uzumaki Nagato. In the original work of Hokage, Akatsuki has experienced a total of 3 leaders. The first is Yahiko. After Yahiko is killed, Ni is the blackened Nagato. After Nagato is killed, Uchiha Obito is the leader. became Akatsuki's third leader. All in all, Yahiko is not dead yet, so Nagato is not blackened, and as long as Nagato is not blackened, then the difficulty for Lee Yi to capture Rinnegan will be greatly reduced. Oh yes, my lord, if you don't say Akatsuki, I almost forgot about them. Tianbao suddenly spoke again, and then, under Lee Yi's inquiring gaze, he explained, according to the speculation of one of my juniors, Akatsuki may be involved in this matter today. Why are they getting involved? Lee Yi asked. Because they firmly believe in peace. As long as they change the country and communicate between people, they can build a bridge of hope to world peace. Tempo said. Akatsuki didn't want to see anyone die, whether that person was a compatriot from the Rain country or a ninja from an enemy country, they didn't want innocent people to die. Hearing this, Lee Yi directly commented, dogs take mice, meddle in their own business, and cause unnecessary trouble for themselves. Ask for silver tickets. Chapter 39_Entering the Land of Rain Part 3. In the original book of Hokage, Akatsuki's first-generation leader, Yahiko, was so busy that he was killed by Hanzo of the Salamander and Shimura Danzo. If Yahiko had grown up honestly and wretchedly from the very beginning, instead of wandering around and meddling around, he might have become famous in the entire ninja world. After all, he has a Uzumaki Nagato by his side. It's a pity that Yahiko is too busy with his own business. He doesn't have enough strength, but he has enough reputation, so he got killed. And now, under Yahiko's leadership, Akatsuki is meddling. For example, what happened today has nothing to do with Akatsuki. Those two people from the Uchiha family, who have no relationship with them and no reason, why did they want to save them? Painful idle. Moreover, as long as they make a move, then, no matter the result is successful or not, they will be targeted by Hanzo of the Salamander. Through the communication between people, build a bridge of hope leading to world peace, right? Lee Yi smiled disdainfully and murmured softly, what an extremely stupid idea. This world is cruel, either you die or I die. The so-called peace, the so-called beauty, the so-called truth, goodness and beauty. Nothing exists. In this world, there is only cruel competition. Survival of the fittest. Therefore, Yahiko's beautiful ideal, no, it should not be called an ideal, but an illusion, which is not realistic at all. No matter when, the weak will always be bullied by the strong, and they will never be able to lift their heads. So when Lee Yi was almost kicked to death the day before yesterday, he had already realized that it was not me, but the world. If there is a chance, I will do whatever it takes to take away Nagato's Rinnegan. Lee Yi's cuffs gradually tightened. As the three continued to move forward, the surrounding sky gradually became dark. A cool wind blew from the front and hit his face. Lee Yi sneezed. He was just an ordinary person. He had been hurrying on the road just now, sweating profusely and panting, but now the cool wind suddenly blew, and the alternating heat and cold caused his body to be unbearable. Tianbao, who was walking in front, stopped, took out two transparent raincoats from somewhere, and handed them to Lee Yi and Violet respectively. Tianbao explained, we are about to truly enter the country of rain. The country of rain is shrouded in dark clouds all year round, and the rain is constant. It is raining today, so put on your raincoat. Lee Yi nodded. However, before Lee Yi started, Violet picked up the raincoat and put it on Lee Yi. The movements are gentle and skilled, without the slightest sloppiness, as if they had been practiced 10,000 times. Then, Violet herself put on a raincoat. Tianbao had also put on his raincoat and said, let's continue on our way. The three continued on their way. It didn't take long for the rain to hit the raincoat above the top of the head, making a rattling sound, which was introduced into Lee Yi's ears. Lee Yi looked up. The bright sun has long since disappeared, replaced by the endless dark clouds. Among the dark clouds, the light rain fell down, with a hint of coolness, as if it could penetrate well and penetrate into the bones. In the distance ahead, Lee Yi saw a huge city. Is that the country of rain? Li Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. At this moment, many images appeared in his mind, including Jiraiya being killed, Nagato being killed, Conan being killed, and so on. All are tragedies. Thinking of this, Li Yi's mood can't help but feel a little melancholy. Sir, shall we continue on our way? Seeing that Li Yi was in a daze for some reason, Tian Bao asked. Hearing Tian Bao's voice, Li Yi came back to his senses and nodded lightly. Okay, let's go. As the saying goes, Wangshan runs a dead horse. Although they had seen the outline of the city of the Kingdom of Rain before, the three of them still came to the outside of the city of the Kingdom of Rain after running for a long time. The sky was raining lightly, and the sky was quite gloomy, without the slightest sunlight, giving people an extremely gloomy feeling. If you live here for a long time, you will definitely be depressed. The closer he got to the land of rain, the more Li Yi could feel the oppressive atmosphere that shrouded his heart, lingering like a dark cloud, making him feel very aggrieved. If it wasn't for the mission, I wouldn't come to a place like this to kill me. Li Yi thought to himself. At this time, Tian Bao had already taken Li Yi and Violet to the gate of the land of rain. Who is coming? A castle guard ninja standing on the left immediately asked. It's me. Tian Bao took off the hat from his raincoat and exposed his head. Brother Tian Bao. The city guarding ninja's eyes suddenly lit up, and he seemed to be a little happy, but then he became puzzled and asked, Brother Tian Bao, didn't you leave at dawn? Why are you back now? Come back and do something. Tian Bao explained perfunctorily, and then he pushed Li Yi out and said, This is one of my good brother. He is not from the land of rain, but he detests the Uchiha family. He has heard about our country these few days. 2 people from the Uchiha clan were to be publicly executed, so he went to great lengths to see the whole process with his own eyes. Quote. As soon as these words came out, the ninja guarding the city looked at Li Yi with a hint of pity, and said, It seems that you also have relatives who died in the hands of Uchiha's people. What a pitiful one. Guy. But according to the formal procedures, the country is under martial law these few days, and people who are not from the country cannot come and go at will. Hearing this, Li Yi frowned slightly. So strict. Is it not even good to use Tianbao? The ninja guarding the city added, But since you were recommended by Brother Tianbao, then there is no problem, let's go in. After that, the city guard ninja turned to his side, making way for Li Yi. Thank you. Li Yi was no longer speechless. This man is gasping for words, but strode directly into the city. Tianbao stood there and hesitated. Once he goes in, he is afraid that he will embark on a road of no return, which will lead to countless people being implicated. He didn't want to bear this kind of sin, he didn't want to go against his conscience. But just when Tianbao was hesitating, Violet's gentle voice suddenly entered his ears. Tianbao, just wait here, I'll just go. Violet smiled, walked out, and walked in front of the ninja guarding the city. However, before Tianbao could speak, the city guard suddenly stared at Violet and said in shock, the melon face, almond eyes, and this long straight Yuhi hair, are you the one that Brother Tianbao often mentions? My elder sister. Ask for silver ticket times 1,000 trillion times. Chapter 40_Mysterious 3 Part 1. Back then, Tianbao often mentioned his sister to everyone. With a melon seed face, almond eyes, and long, straight Yuhi hair, she is simply a goddess. No, drop the word, simply. Of course, Tianbao would not have any love between men and women for his own sister. On the contrary, he felt that Violet was not very good looking. Maybe in this world, every younger brother thinks that his elder sister is not very good looking. However, Tianbao's colleagues, according to his description, although he has never seen him, he has long imagined the beautiful face of Violet in his mind. And among them, this includes the guarding ninja in front of him. Are you the elder sister of Brother Tianbao? The guarding ninja widened his eyes and stared straight at Violet, the kind of gaze that looked through the autumn water, as if to penetrate Violet's clothes. Violet opened her mouth slightly. She looked at Tianbao in astonishment. Tianbao didn't care about Violet's gaze, but said lightly, "Yes, she is my sister." "It's really brother Tianbao's big sister." The city guard ninja's eyes lit up again, as if he saw a baby. He stared at Violet and asked, "I don't know where my elder sister is now. What kind of work does she do? How many people are in the family? Do you have a fiancé?" He kept asking. A look of embarrassment appeared on Violet's little face. However, just as the ninja guarding the city continued to talk, Tianbao raised his fist and smashed it on top of his head. "My sister has a sweetheart, so don't think about it too much." Tianbao knew that the other party was a chatter, so he told a lie to dissuade his curiosity. Have a sweetheart." City guarding ninja suddenly became extremely frustrated, and muttered to himself, "Who is that person, who is so happy to be liked by such a gentle and beautiful elder sister? Shouldn't it be the one who entered the city just now?" As soon as these words came out, Violet's cheeks slightly yuhi, and her face became a little uncomfortable. Tianbao raised his fist again and smashed it on the top of the guarding ninja's head. After that, Tianbao didn't talk nonsense, looked directly at Violet and asked, "Sister, are you sure you want to follow?" Tianbao's tone was very serious. The ninja guarding the city could hear the seriousness in Tianbao's tone, and immediately closed his mouth. Because he feels that Tianbao is not asking ordinary questions now, but is talking about a matter of life and death. Violet didn't reply, just nodded slightly, with a firm attitude. Tianbao sighed lightly. "Okay, then I'll follow." Tianbao seemed to become weak, said, "Are you sure you want to follow?" Violet's willow eyebrows frowned slightly. Tianbao nodded. "Then let's go, don't lose too much." Violet hurriedly shut up and didn't say the word, "people." After all, it was in the public eye now, and it would be bad if people suspected it. The two entered the city. The ninja guarding the city looked at the backs of the two gradually leaving, and on the faces, there was a curious and strange look. Why is their conversation so serious? It's like he's going to die in the next moment. Or is it that the relationship between the siblings is not good, that's why they talk like this? When brother Tianbao was in the military, he often mentioned his sister. They should have a good relationship. The castle guard ninja was puzzled. But he didn't entangle this matter, but entangled the man that Violet liked. Who was it? To be liked by such a beautiful woman, even if you die, you will die without regrets, right? The heart of the city guard ninja. At this moment, three figures came over from a distance. All three of them were wearing black robes with hoods covering their faces, so that people could only see a vague outline, but not their real faces. Defending ninja ended his intentional lust. The three people had already walked in front of him. Who is coming? What is the reason for entering the city? The defending ninja immediately opened his mouth and asked in a cold voice. The three of them didn't answer. The man walking in the front took out a copper token from his wide cuff and handed it to the ninja guarding the city. Seeing this copper token, the face of the defending ninja changed slightly, and then his attitude instantly became countless times more respectful. He bowed to the three of them and said, "Three adults, please come in." After speaking, he bowed and turned sideways, revealing the passage behind him. The three of them still didn't speak, they just took back the token in a hurry, and then slowly walked into the city. After San completely left, he stood up straight again. The other ninjas all ran up to him and asked him curiously, "Brother, who were those three people just now?" "He is the captain here, and more than a dozen people guarding the city here have to listen to him, and his status in the country of rain is not low, and there are not many who can make him so servile." Even in the face of Senior Tianbao, he did not have the extremely respectful attitude just now. Therefore, everyone is very curious, who are the three people just now? I don't know their identities, but I know their privileges. Having said that, the castle guard ninja took a deep breath and said word by word, "They can meet Hanzo-sama directly. As soon as this word comes out." Hiss. Many ninjas present couldn't help but take a deep breath. Directly meet the leader of the Rain Kingdom, Hanzo of the Salamander. Real or fake? You must know that Hanzo-sama is cautious, and ordinary people can't see him at all. What are the identities of those three people? Even the captain has never met Hanzo-sama, right? Many ninjas are beginning to whisper, guessing constantly. At the same time, in the country of rain. Because it rains all the year round in the country of rain and does not see the sun, the skin of men, women and children in the country is very fair. Li Yi walked at the forefront. Violet and Tianbao trotted after them. Li Yi frowned slightly and asked, "Why are you here?" Violet replied, "My lord, you saved my life. I will go wherever you go, and I will guarantee your safety to the death." Li Yi glanced at Violet. There seemed to be a hint of deep meaning in those eyes. But in the end, Li Yi didn't say much, just replied succinctly, "Where is the execution ground? Lead the way." Tianbao has lived in the land of rain for many years. He basically understands the structure of the land of rain, so he leads the way. After walking through many streets, the three finally came to the execution ground. Although it was not yet noon, countless people had gathered around the execution ground. And these people are very excited, gearing up, as if they are extremely looking forward to what will happen here next.